the strongest technician of the Hidden Sand Village. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 426, Arrogant Madara. Senju Hashirama's death was a complete loss of his soul. Although his reincarnation in the Dirty Land was not lifted, his soul was completely destroyed. This battle was extremely shocking to everyone in distant Konoha. The invincible god of the ninja world in their hearts left the stage in such an attitude, which made many Konoha elders, including Danzo, shed tears. Don't be sad anymore. Brother should have expected this outcome after his death. Senju Tobirama looked at the distance in the direction of Senju Ancient City and took a deep breath. Let's return to Konoha first and prepare for defense, since the battlefield in front of them could not resist Sunagakure's advance. The only option was to place the final decisive battle force in the Konohagakure itself. Senju Tobirama was thinking about the next battle arrangement. Most of Aoki Shiraishi's strength cards were displayed, but even this still made Namikaze Minato and Senju Tobirama a little desperate. Especially when the 18 attribute crystals formed by the Kyudeo Jade were revealed. Beishi had almost no flaws. After a long silence, Senju Tobirama looked at the sky in the distance. Maybe we can talk to Madara. Madara. Teacher, what do you mean? Danzo quickly followed his teacher's thoughts and figured out what his teacher was thinking. As for the third Hokage and the fourth Hokage, they silently followed Tobirama's arrangements. The death of his eldest brother will make him interested in confronting Feng Ying. Tobirama had hated the bond between his brother and Uchiha Madara in the past, but now he could use Uchiha Madara to contain Aoki Shiraishi. The current situation must give Konoha a chance to buffer the Senju clan sealing technique. Bliss Pure Light that the elder brother had just cast could have wiped out Sunagakure in one fell swoop, but he didn't expect that the Kazekage's method was so powerful, directly disintegrating the elder brother's final killing blow. On the battlefield of Kumogakure, Uchiha Madara punched Ace with a punch. As the strength of both sides expanded, Uchiha Madara felt Ace's special physique, and his fist turned into a heavy hammer and struck down. It hurts. After receiving a heavy blow from Uchiha Madara, Ace only had a big bump on his head without any other injuries. Now even Uchiha Madara was surprised by Ace's physical strength. It simply doesn't look like an ordinary person's body, and it's not blessed by immortal magic. Could it be said that it's a pure immortal body? Human body of fire escape immortal? Interesting. With a loud roar, Uchiha Madara Shenra Tenzhang emerged from all directions, and Ghostlight Heiau and Ace were kicked out again. Then a giant meteorite suddenly fell from the sky. Uchiha Madara's current state is already stronger than Senju Hashirama. Uchiha Madara, who fused the two great blood successors of Senju Uchiha and evolved into the Samurai, was naturally stronger than the former Senju Hashirama. In the process of controlling the ancient crane immortal seal to resist meteorites, the pressure on Ghostlight Heiau increased. If you only have this strength, then the battle game will end here. Just when Madara Uchiha was about to take further action, he saw the silver mask on Heiau's body flashing, and a powerful aura hit his face. This feeling is rare for Kazekage. Zetsu, in the darkness, showed a horrified look. He had no idea that Mizukage himself was controlled by Kazekage. The fifth Kazekage, Madara. Uchiha was not surprised that Kato Heizuki turned into another person. There were too many secret techniques of transformation and control in the ninja world, and the Rinnegan also had a special magic lantern technique, so he was even more curious about why the fifth Kazekage chose this time. Appear. Senju Hashirama has been completely obliterated by me. The first words Shiraishi spoke made Uchiha Madara's eyelids twitch wildly. Oh. Even in his reincarnation state, he will be defeated by you. It seems that you do have some ability, Uchiha. Madara is very arrogant. Although he had strong inner fluctuations about Senju Hashirama being defeated by Shiraishi, there was still no change in his emotions on the surface. Shiraishi didn't care what Uchiha Madara was thinking, but said directly, in 3 days, I will launch a general attack on Konoha and completely wipe out the Konoha village, built by Senju Hashirama. Shiraishi's words made Uchiha Madara snort. You showed up just to tell me this. I Just want to invite Madara-sama to witness the destruction of Konoha. Only I can destroy Konoha. When did it become your Kazekage's turn to issue such an arrogant invitation? Thinking of Uchiha Madara's sudden seal, the sky soon changed again, and a larger meteorite suddenly fell from high altitude point. God hinders the earthquake. Madara himself and the double-faced Susanoo formed different seals, summoning two huge meteorites with a diameter of more than 100 meters to fall vertically. The meteorites were large enough to cover the sky and turn the sun several kilometers below into ruins. Shiraishi didn't seem surprised when Uchiha Madara went berserk at the slightest disagreement. The power of photons spread from his hand, and the photon spurt combined with dust escape to form a terrifying light-killing move. The moves of both sides bombarded each other, forming a violent explosion in the air. In the smoke, Shiraishi released three-dimensional holes, and then quickly disappeared from the battlefield with ace. Uchiha Madara ignored Shiraishi's retreat, but focused his attention on Konoha in the distance. Madara, what is your plan? When will the wooden leaf wheel be destroyed? As long as he tells it to be destroyed. Uchiha Madara looked at the sky indifferently, and a frightening aura erupted from his body. Not to mention Yakashika Buto, even Obito who was watching, was frightened by Uchiha Madara's strength. Leave the White Zetsu troops in the Kingdom of Thunder to support the Cloud Ninjas, and then we return to the Kingdom of Fire. Shiraishi's special appearance was just to lure Uchiha Madara to the Land of Fire. After all, the main direction of Sunagakure's attack in the next 2 days was the Kingdom of Thunder and the Kingdom of Earth. Before the final battle in Konoha, these two major ninja villages must be defeated. Wipeout point. Although he was aware of Shiraishi's plan, Madara didn't care about these things. He said that the life and death of Byugakure and Iwagakure had nothing to do with him. However, considering the situation, he also gifted Kumogakure with tens of thousands of Beizetsu troops. Sunagakure's three-pronged attack direction. Reading www. Unit. The two flanks are currently entering the final moments. Although Konoha wants to support other ninja villages, they currently only have 3 days of buffer time and have to speed up the deployment of defenses. Had no time to support the other two ninja villages. Among them, Uzumaki Naruto is still training with Jiraiya in Mount Mayaboku, while Uchiha Sasuke's whereabouts are unknown during the war. Although Uchiha Itachi is anxious, he still prioritizes protecting the village at the moment. On the border of the Land of Earth, Kid Uchiha led the puppet troops towards the direction of Iwa Ninja Village, losing two major Jinkriki. In addition to Inoki, who had been severely damaged in the previous battle, Iwagakure's defense was much weaker. However, Kurotsuchi and Lois fought hard, and Iwagakure the ninja village has a huge ninja base. According to Shiraishi's judgment, it will take at least more than a day to gnaw them all away. On the Kingdom of Thunder, Shiraishi's huge beam cannon on the moon has long been charged. With a dazzling beam of destruction falling, the outer barrier of Union Village was suddenly directly blown up. 2 sages, Naruto will be left to you, little Jiraiya. Are you going back first? Yes. Konoha has fallen into a life and death moment. I must go back. Chapter 427, The Will of Stone. News of the first Hokage's defeat quickly spread throughout the ninja world. The morale of the other two major ninja villages that had been counting on Konoha was even lowered to a certain level. Especially in Iwagakure village, which was frequently bombed by Sunagakure. There was not a single complete building left. You must know that the entire Iwa ninja village is surrounded by natural dangers. The ninja village is known for its solid defense. It is a top secret natural fortress formed by many rocky mountains. It has an easy to defend location, and it is difficult for enemies to invade its interior. However, they must also communicating with the outside world is also relatively difficult. It is such a closed village. Now it is surrounded by giant humanoid puppets all over the sky. Under the destruction of various beam weapons, all the defense mechanisms of Iwagakure village are useless. Uchiha Kid and Makigaki are now officially reunited with the main force of Sunagakure village. Facing the dilapidated Iwagakure village, Uchiha Kid has no trace of mercy on his face. Master Feng, Inoki sent an envoy, hoping to meet with us. Obviously, Inoki must make a certain decision for the sake of the entire Iwagakure village. Grandpa, why did you choose this time to meet with the Sunagakure? We can still continue to fight. Short, black hair, dark gray pupils. Kurotsuchi, who was wearing a red tights on the inside and a ninja vest on the outside, looked at Inoki with an unwilling face. It was obvious that the Iwa ninja did not want to surrender to his old rival Sunagakure. Looking at his precious granddaughter, Inoki chuckled. Kurotsuchi, do you know that my master, the second generation Tsukikage Mu, and my grandfather, the first generation Tsukikage Ishikawa, both faced similar choices? Inoki is the grandson of the first Tsukikage, Ishikawa. He has outstanding abilities since he was a child. He grew up under the strict education and careful care of the first and second Tsukikage. The first Tsukikage personally gave him the method of cleaning the village stones tasks and personal guidance. During this period, he gave a profound explanation of the will of Iwagakure, the will of stone, which symbolizes perseverance and unshakability, and this speech also had a profound impact on Inoki's life. In troubled times, he followed his master Wu and experienced many wars. In order to protect the village with his master, he often fought with other villages until dawn. In the early days of the founding of the People's Republic of China, Wu Zeng led his disciple Inoki to Konoha for diplomacy. As a result, he met Uchiha Madara, and the alliance between Iwagakure and Konoha was Madara refuses, and both Mutsu and Inoki are seriously injured. In fact, the follow-up to this incident was that Ishikawa personally came forward to fight Uchiha Madara, using his own life to interpret what the will of stone is. Inoki's growth also started from this time. Later, the second generation Tsukikage Mu taught him the blood successor that merged the three changes of wind, fire, and earth to eliminate the dust escape and pass the will of stone to Inoki, which also affected Inoki's growth and development. Kurotsuchi naturally knew these stories very well, and she heard other meanings from Inoki's words. Grandpa, don't be like this. We can continue to fight together. The ninja world has changed. Iwagakure village cannot be destroyed in your hands, so let me, an old man, bear all this. It can be said that Inoki's strongest belief in his life is the will of stone. Simply put, it is iron-headed, stubborn, as hard and smelly as stone. After the first ninja war, the second Tsukikage, his master, died of exhaustion trying to protect his juniors. Inoki was heartbroken and subsequently succeeded him as Tsukikage. As a Tsukikage, he wanted to protect the village and the country, and he deeply inherited the strong will of stone from the second generation of Tsukikage. He is a warrior who has experienced hundreds of battles, and is one of the few survivors who has experienced the war era. But facing a moment of life and death for the village, no matter how strong Inoki is, he cannot help but become moved. Master, Grandpa, Kurotsuchi wanted to speak, but his father Huangta stopped him and shook his head. Slowly putting on the clothes representing that Tsukikage, Inoki stepped out of Iwagakure village step by step and came to the front line of the battlefield. Lord Tsukikage, have you made a decision? Ignoring Uchiha Kide's words, Inoki's dust escape power once again condensed in his palm, turning into a sharp and terrifying energy. I order in the name of the third Tsukikage that Iwagakure village will be disbanded starting today. The unexpected answer made the atmosphere at the scene stunned for a moment. Kurotsuchi looked sad and angry. Just as he was about to step forward, his father Huangta grabbed him tightly again. Don't waste all your father's hard work. When Huangta spoke, he naturally noticed that most of the remaining ninjas in Iwagakure village were looking at Inoki in front of them with tears on their faces, because they all noticed that their Tsukikage suddenly took a sip of a special potion. Hero water, the sacred relic of Tokugakure in the past. More than 10 years ago, Iwagakure invaded Tokugakure and captured part of the hero's water during a battle for Nanao. Unexpectedly, it would be used on Lord Tsukikage today. After drinking a sip of hero water, Inoki's hair stood up all over his body. After taking the special secret medicine, his chakra increased 10 times more than normal. For a moment, even Uchiha Madara frowned and took a few steps back. Realizing that the old man in front of him was preparing to fight, Uchiha Kide quickly activated the Sharingan mode, and countless Sharingan eyes slowly emerged from his body. Since you have announced your surrender, why is this gesture? Because what follows is a personal grudge between me and Sunagakure. Without Any unnecessary nonsense. Inoki drank with one palm, and a powerful light wave suddenly erupted. In terms of lethality, dust release is the strongest killing move in the ninja world, especially for Inoki, who has been practicing dust release for many years. His cultivation level has already surpassed that of his master, Third Kazekage. Inoki's appearance is relatively cheerful, with a big nose in the middle of his face. Reading www.kanshu.net. He is very short in stature, but under the influence of the powerful hero water, the power that continues to burst out from all over Inoki's body adds a tragic color. Inoki, who was slowly suspended in the air, released his dust release to attack Uchiha Kid. This old man had a stubborn and tough personality, but he was a great ninja who loved the village, tried his best to safeguard the interests of the village, and protect the residents. Now he is forced to disband Yan'an village, but he still hopes to use his last battle to make everyone in the village remember what the will of stone is. With a loud explosion, Inoki used the super heavy rock technique, fused with his own blood, and released a giant seismic core monster. After stepping on the monster, he attacked Uchiha Kid in anger. Facing the desperate Inoki, everyone in Sunagakure couldn't help but take a few steps back, but Uchiha Kid did not evade at all. His Sharingan opened the kaleidoscope in his eyes, and a dark giant sun slowly rose into the sky. The endless dark light shines on this land, and collides with Inoki's clay monster. After this period of training and development, Uchiha Kid has developed more than a dozen characteristics in the Sharingan Pearl, each of which can bring about a substantial improvement and increase in his strength. Chapter 428, Yan'an village is destroyed. In the village of Iwagakure, Uchiha Kid's red cloud and black robe burned with strange flames, as if he was controlling the Flame Emperor, giving people a feeling of being difficult to resist. Among the 4 split bodies created by Shiraishi, Uchiha Kid developed the power of blood succession to the extreme due to the relationship with the Sharingan Pearl. The main Jiki Sharingan is only one step away from reaching the eternal kaleidoscope state. At the same time, the thinking network composed of Shiraishi and many split bodies has now formed a giant thinking brain in the underground base. Most of the battle analysis and data simulation are handled by the giant brain processor. The entire battlefield environment of Iwa Ninja Village, as well as the movements of Inoki and other Iwa ninjas, were all clearly visible to him. Uchiha Kid took half a step forward, hooked forward with his left hand, flicked his wrist, and fired a stream of crystal clear white-red flames that traveled to the ground. At the same time, he waved his right arm, flicked his wrist in the opposite direction, and threw it towards the enemy's head. The fire of a dark sun point. Although he was old, Inoki used his earth escape technique to reduce his weight and burden. His back was slightly arched, and he jumped forward suddenly to avoid the blow. At the same time, a silver light condensed on his hand. Boom. The fireball exploded and flames flew. Inoki's clothes were in tatters on his chest, and his fat body was trembling. However, his physique, which used earth escape to increase his body's defense, was only slightly blackened, and his defense was quite amazing. This old man is older than Sarutobi Hiruzen, but he is quite capable of fighting. No wonder he can withstand the bombardment of several humanoid puppets. The will of stone lies more in perseverance, and Inoki's fighting style fits the so-called will of stone very well. However, Uchiha Kid's eyes flashed with cold light, and the end of the moment was activated. Black flames suddenly burned in the sky, releasing endless fire of darkness, falling down like a meteor shower. The Uchiha Kid suddenly fell to the ground, and the whole earth shook violently, as if being hit by a boulder. And then a teleportation appeared on Inoki's side, and swung towards Inoki's body. The giant clay monster at the feet of Inoki stretched out his right arm, and, relying on his heightened arm length, slapped Uchiha Kid on the head at an extremely fast speed. With a loud explosion, wild and dark fire burned around Uchiha Kid, forming a huge hand of flames, which forcibly restrained the arm of the giant clay beast. Then a ball of blood red light condensed on Uchiha Kid's fingers, and suddenly exploded the giant hand. Beast body, Chen. Escape. How is it possible? Haha, teacher Inoki, you personally taught me how to escape from the dust. At this moment, Uchiha Kid's voice transformed into Deidara, and Inoki's consciousness was in a trance. For a moment, a dark flame sword quickly penetrated Inoki's chest, and blood spilled on the ground. Deidara, you are Deidara. It seemed to be an illusion, but Inoki clearly realized at that moment that it was Deidara's voice. He couldn't understand why his most popular disciple got involved with the traitorous ninja of the Uchiha family. Do you really want to know the truth? Inoki, who uses hero water to increase chakra, is a difficult opponent. In order to combat his state, Uchiha chose to reveal Deidara's identity and disturbed his mind. Sure enough, Inoki had mental problems when Deidara was mentioned. Obviously, this former disciple still valued Inoki very much. Especially the news that Deidara died in the battle at Rain Ninja Village made Inoki not leave the house for several days. As people get older, relationships become more fragile. Old man, you shouldn't behave like this. Deidara's voice sounded again, and the moment Inoki raised his head, Uchiha's face gradually transformed into Deidara's. Although Deidara had already died in the battle in the Rain Ninja Village, his consciousness did not completely disappear, but directly became part of the conscious brain, assisting in the daily management of Shiraishi's thinking network. Who are you? With a loud explosion, Uchiha grabbed Inoki's fist with one hand. Your super heavy rock jutsu is not as heavy as before, Lord Tsukikage. Seeing that Tsukikage's body was pierced by a sword, and his fist was tightly restrained by his opponent, the Iwa ninjas prepared to step forward to support, but Inoki came back to his senses and scolded. Look at it carefully, this belongs to me. Battle. Inoki's aura became fierce again, and his body continued to expand. The chakra of the clay beast below was constantly fed back to himself, making his body continuously stronger. This is Inoki. Snid, to put it bluntly, explosive escape is just a disguised use of dust escape. If Deidara can do it, I can also. At this moment, Inoki seemed to have returned to his former youthful appearance, turning into a black adult man. He punched out directly. When Uchiha blocked it, a high temperature explosion suddenly occurred on his arm. What? He ducked out of the way, but the power of the explosion caused one of Uchiha's arms to be blown to pieces. Is integrating dust release into oneself like an unstable UNZ explosion diffusion device. The original Deidara also has a similar self-explosion escape technique, using clay to directly mix the explosion chakra through the meridian system of the heart, and then the body will slowly turn black until it disappears, and the chakra will condense into a black sphere, and then the sphere will explode into midlight, forming a diffuse big explosion, and everything within the explosion range will directly sublimate. However, Inoki's was even more powerful, and he directly integrated the dust release into himself, forming a self-destructive final move. Compared to Deidara's large-scale self-destruction, Inoki's move eliminates everything from the inside out and turns it into nothingness before his will is completely dissipated. He will continue to activate self-destruction mode for Uchiha. Sure enough, every movie has some unexpected trump card. Senju Hashirama's golden pule and Inoki's heroic water plus self-destruction dust escape technique. However, that's all for now. However, Uchiha's body was covered by the characteristics of the Sharingan ball, and the main Gekkai Sharingan in his right eye switched to the other Sharingan in the Sharingan ball, and a dark force spread to the surrounding world. The power of darkness, symbolizing death, mixed with a black sun in the sky, seeming to cause the light to begin to mutate. Inoki's expression suddenly changed when he saw Uchiha's move. Because from that sun, he felt the same aura as his own self-destruction dust escape, but it was more intense and violent. Characteristics: dark aura. The combination of the ending land in the dark aura, reading www.ukanshu.net, elevates the power of the black flame sun to the extreme, and integrates the destructive power of dust release into it, making Uchiha the strongest killer. The destructive power of the sun is 10 times more powerful than the red sun of Konoha village in the past. Uchiha then controlled this dark sun and suddenly blasted towards Inoki's location. There is no way Inoki can avoid it, because if he avoids it, then everyone in Iwagakure behind him will definitely be swallowed up by the black sun. Without any choice, Inoki faced the black sun that kept falling in the sky. He showed a smile, and then rushed towards him. A giant dark mushroom cloud shone over the entire Iwa Ninja village. Inoki used his last strength to completely destroy Black Sun. In the end, Inoki disappeared in front of everyone in Iwagakure, and turned into a piece of dust. Grandfather, Kurotsuchis. Last call was like a drop of tear falling on the bluestone of Iwagakure village, spreading throughout the village point. The destruction of Iwagakure village symbolizes the complete collapse of the structure of the 5 great ninja villages. The countdown to the decisive battle, arranged by Shiraishi, was on the penultimate day. Following the death of Inoki in Iwagakure village, the new leader Huangtu chose to disband the village in accordance with Kazekage's instructions during his lifetime. Then the daimyo of the Earth Kingdom quickly announced the surrender edict. Genius website address. Mobile version reading URL. Chapter 429. Rakage's plan. Many people have always believed that history is written by the victors, so they use this as an excuse to act arbitrarily and trample on everything. In the huge Milky Way starry sky, Shiraishi stepped on the moon base and looked at the ninja world below. With a trace of unto-shade eyes, Inoki's death in battle symbolizes that Sunagakure's cause of unifying the shinobi world has finally entered a critical step. The first 5 major villages to be destroyed. We'll use this as the beginning to enter a new era point. When he truly reached the pinnacle of the ninja world, Shiraishi couldn't help but feel a feeling of loneliness. But I believe that only the real winners have the magnanimity and strength to write the history they truly want to create, rather than wantonly tampering with and fabricating history. Facing Shiraishi is an ancient stone tablet, which records a history well known to the Otsutsuki clan. The grudges and historical evolution of the 2 Hamura brothers and Otsutsuki Kaguya point. The man on the moon completely recorded the history of the earth and wrote it into a war history belonging to the ninja world. Point. Machiavellians, ambitious people, idealists, practitioners, all kinds of people are active in this ninja world, but they have never left the historical chapter written by the Otsutsuki family. Point. Even Senju Hashirama and Uchiha Madara are the reincarnations of Chakra, the 2 sons of the Sage of 6 Paths. Although Senju Hashirama has a broad enough mind to end the troubled times of the Warring States period, he forgets that people's hearts are sinister. In fact, even Uchiha Madara is a naive idealist. Throughout his life, he and Senju Hashirama came to the same destination, all in order to create a peaceful world. Point. Compared with them, Shiraishi does not have such lofty ideals. In his own lifetime, completing the integration of the ninja world and dealing with the future invasion of the outer gods is what he wants to do. Point. I will record everything I have done on this brand new stone tablet. Point. Some people can turn history into a magnificent history of struggle, and some people can turn history into a bloody conspiracy. What is my choice? Shiraishi knows that what he needs to face is not only the situation of the ninja world, but also the situation of the future. And the seeds I have sown in the other 3 worlds will finally bear fruit in due time. Point. The giant energy cannon on the moon is in the process of charging for the next round. Once completed, it will blast directly towards Union village. Point. Compared to Iwagakure village, Kumogakure village's resistance was more intense, and the whereabouts of the 8-tails Jinchuriki were even more unknown. Point. As one of Shiraishi's core splinter bodies, Hagoromo Manto is currently accompanying the Rakage, informing the 4th Rakage of the latest information about Iwagakure village. Lord Rakage, Iwagakure village has surrendered. Hagoromo, Minato, come with me, and let's compete there together. The 8-tails Jinchuriki. Obviously, the situation in Cloud Hidden Village is not very good now, so Rakage has to release the Jinchuriki's combat power. Inoki died in battle, and the Earth Kingdom daimyo and the entire Iwagakure village surrendered, which symbolized that the war in the shinobi world had entered a critical point. The collapse of the Earth Kingdom caused a sharp increase in pressure on Konoha. Now the Kingdom of Thunder also died and asked for help. Part of Point. Uchiha Kid, the entire Akatsuki organization and the Sunagakure West Army Corps are directly outflanking the Kingdom of Thunder from the direction of the Earth Kingdom. Point. The 4th Rakage stood on the highest peak of Kumogakure village, looking at the Sunagakure army in the distance. He was dark-skinned, with light yellow hair and a very strong build. He usually wore a white cloak and had green hands tattooed on his shoulders shuriken-style logo. Point. Wearing a wide belt and thick armor, he has an impulsive personality. However, Hagoromo Manto was in no rush to take action. Point. The Liang in front of him, whose whole body is protected by the Thunder Escape body, has strong speed and defense. His hand-to-hand combat skills are the strongest in the village. He often wins with speed in battles, and his speed is as fast as Blue Lightning. Point. Although Hagoromo Shinto had never fought against the Rakage, He was afraid of his lightning escape body, so he never had the opportunity to take action as 0,026 NBSP. Arriving at a higher peak outside Jounin village, Reikage and Hagoromo Manto were side by side. I can understand Anoka's thoughts. When my father fought against tens of thousands of Iwa ninjas, he probably had the same idea, because we all lead the entire village in the name of Kage. Hagoromo Minato, who had been checking Kirabe's chakra, but had no response, seemed not to have heard the true meaning of the sentence, that we all lead the entire village in the name of the Shadow Point. After the Third Ninja War ended, the war continued. His father, the Third Reikage, died of exhaustion trying to protect the village. AI was devastated by this incident and later took over the title of Reikage Point as Reikage. He wanted to protect the village and the country, inherited his father's will, and asked his adopted brother Kirabe to enter the Cloud Thunder Gorge to start training the tailed beast Tama, vowing not to let the enemy touch him. Then he ordered B to be strictly prohibited from leaving the village, and told B that if enemies invaded, he could use the tailed beast Jade to defeat them from a distance. Reikage's protection strategy for Kirabe has led to the current ninja war, and the whereabouts of the Eight Tails are still unknown. Even Hagoromo Minato inside Shirogakiji cannot detect Kirabe's whereabouts. But now that Sunagakure's general attack is imminent, Hagoromo Minato believes that Kirabe will definitely appear in the village. He will never come back. Hagoromo Shinto, you must give up on this idea. Suddenly, the fourth Reikage spoke coldly, causing the atmosphere at the scene to suddenly become tense. Hagoromo Manto's expression changed, but he saw a domineering blue lightning burst out from the Reikage's body. Reikage noticed. Jiraiya of Konoha once wrote to me, explaining that he might have some kind of involvement between Shiragakure's Mizukage and Sunagakure Kazekage. Even the Uchiha family member was included as a suspect. When Reikage said this, the electric light on his body continued to intensify. In the battle for the destruction of Iwagakure village, Anoki kept chanting a name before he died, and Uchiha Kid had no sign of joining forces with Sunagakure, which gave me an idea. At this time, the fourth generation Reikage wraps the electric current around the body, which can increase the hardness and strength, and activate the special Thunder Escape armor of the body. Thunder Escape Chakra Mode, known as the Thunder Release. By concentrating the Thunder Release chakra throughout the body, the whole body is covered with chakra and lightning. It can activate the body and use the lightning flash body, and the defense ability will be greatly improved. At the same time, the energy bursting out in the body thunder and lightning can increase nerve conductivity. A punch struck, and Hagoromo Minato released the same Thunder Escape Chakra mode at the same time. The power of the lightning strike surrounded his body, and he punched the fourth Reikage. So, Reikage-sama, you doubt me, because of this baseless speculation. Reikage shouted wildly, your origin is too suspicious, and the place where you first appeared was Shirogakure village. If combined with Jiraiya's speculation, then it is very likely that you are the specially constructed clone of Kazekage. The light of the explosion flickered on the entire peak. As the golden light on Hagoromo Minato shone, he saw a special ceiling barrier formation below. Hagoromo Shinto frowned. It seemed that this ceiling barrier was not a work of Shirogakure. Taking off his usual disguise, Yu reads a book. www.ukanshu.net. Hagoromo Minato holds a staff, and special golden characters appear on his forehead. Reikage, I didn't expect that. Under your rough and arrogant appearance, your mind is more delicate than anyone else. Facing the constant explosion of chakra on Minato Hagoromo, the fourth Reikage burst out laughing. Now that the entire Shirogakure village has been secretly transferred to the depths of the Kingdom of Thunder, I'm afraid that giant cannon in the sky will explode. It's just an empty village. Following Ye Cang's words, countless white dew appeared from the side of the peak, and then a dark blood-red shadow slowly entered the battlefield, releasing a special aura of Raichi Cave immortal technique. The dark-faced monster made Hagoromo Minato become more wary. Medicine bag. No, this is not Yakashika Buto. Genius website address. Mobile version reading URL. Chapter 430. The Art of Divine Welcome. Uchiha Madara had previously lifted the restriction in Kabuto Yakashi's body, which allowed him to successfully escape the control of Shiraishi and Shiraishi, but it triggered an unknown chakra surge in his body. The blood dragon eye appeared on the second face on the back of Yakashi Kabuto's head, and in an instant Agora Romo Minato was trapped in the illusion point. However, the moment the golden lightning flashed, the illusion world suddenly collapsed. Kabuto Yakashi didn't seem to care about his blood dragon eye illusion being broken. Golden Thunder Release, which has special illusion abilities. You are indeed closely related to Kazekage. Who are you? The person in front of him is definitely not Kabuto Yakashi. The real Kabuto Yakashi may have been devoured by the owner of the second face point in the Landi cave. Beishiji slowly opened her eyes. The power of the blood dragon eyes has been completely released. How is this possible? The origin of blood dragon eyes comes from Raichi cave, and its eyes contain the power of blood inheritance. They come from a special clan in Raichi cave, also known as red snakes. For example, Zenaya, who appears in the future Boruto 10, is the remnant of this clan. Zenaya is one of the upper echelons of Landi cave. He is a one-eyed red snake with reverse scales that lives deep in the lair of the most violent group of snakes in Landi cave. Because Zenaya lost an eye in the battle before, it turned into a guy who caused damage and caused headaches everywhere. It was a big snake with an extremely violent personality. Even the white snake immortal could not deal with it. It lived in Landi cave. All the snakes in it hate it, and no one wants to get close to it. At this moment, there was an inexplicable shock in Raichi cave. Shianxin Shenji, Ichikijima Haim, and Sunjin Haim, who guarded the snake area inside Raichi cave, appeared in the cave. As a confidant of White Snake G, Shianxin Shenji said with a hint of panic in her tone, "Lord White Snake, Zinja has disappeared." "Oh, have you been summoned by a psychic?" The three people in front of her were all elders in Raichi cave, and her right-hand confidants. White Snake Princess felt a little irritated. Everything was out of her control now. Even the three holy places may have to face an unprecedented shake in the ninja world. Myomu Mountain has already made its decision. The Shigibone Forest is ambiguous, and Ryuji Cave has actually long been regarded as the Sunagakure family. What Sunagakure wants to change is not just the structure of the 5 major villages, but the inheritance of the ninja sect founded by the 6 Paths Sage for thousands of years. If he really does this, he will completely oppose the 6 Paths immortal lineage. Perhaps since the beginning of the Ninja World War, the chakra of the 6 Paths Sage has been constantly monitoring the changes in the battlefield. Senju Hashirama was completely wiped out before, which should make him extremely heartbroken. That old guy is not easy to deal with. White Snake Princess is afraid of the 6 Paths Immortal, mainly because he holds the true secret of the Pure Land. The peak of 6 Paths Sage's strength was not when he defeated Otsutsuki Kaguya, but when he later founded the ninja sect. Later, he realized that the order of the 3 realms was imbalanced, so he single-handedly created the Pure Land of Paradise and maintained the balance of the 3 realms in the ninja world. This is also the real reason why the 6 Paths Sage fell, because his main chakra must maintain the existence of the entire Pure Land of Paradise. The essence of the Pure Land is a seal. In addition to preventing the reincarnation of Princess Kaguya, it also blocks the passage from the infinite hell. In the past, before the Pure Land of Paradise was born, one day suddenly, evil spirits in hell were rampant, and many living people were devoured by evil spirits. Therefore, the Onmyoji series was born. The monsters in the Kingdom of Ghosts are also products of that era. Hell was not in a state of disorder from the beginning. Even the Sage of 6 Paths did not understand what was going on there, so he created the Pure Land of Paradise, sealed the entrance to hell, and sealed the souls of the dead in the ninja world there. Nowadays, the reincarnation of the Dirty Land is frequently used, and the peace of the Pure Land is no longer the same as before. The awakening of chakra consciousness in Yakashi Kabuto's body has aggravated the instability of the Pure Land. The structure of the ninja world and even the entire world are in turmoil. Although Sunagakure and Raichi should have a close relationship, she always keeps a certain distance, because she does not know whether the Sage of 6 Paths has any backups. Now it seems that the 6 Paths Sage's backups are probably being arranged one by one. The will awakened in Yakashi Kabuto's body, the blood red air filled Kabuto Yakashi's body, and the strange face behind him opened the special blood dragon eyes. Surrounded by the strange red light, Kabuto Yakushi showed a ghostly smile faced with Hagoromo Manto's question. Kabuto Yakushi smiled happily and slowly spit out his strange red tongue. I'm Kabuto Yakushi. A red flash flashed. Yakushi Kabuto attacked with blood-red claws in his hands, but he saw Hagoromo Manto's staff turned, and golden light and red light collided with each other. When a punch came, Yakushi Kabuto's body twisted and avoided in a weird way, and a red scaly tail appeared on his lower body, as if a long whip was sweeping across him. Hagoromo Shinto quickly released an electric light and slashed out, cutting off his tail with a tentative slash. A special inorganic reincarnation power was activated, and the tail recovered again after a moment. Just like a gecko, the giant thunder escape formation below contained great destructive power, and was specially prepared for Hagoromo Manto. The powerful electromagnetic control restraint made Hagoromo Manto's body feel a little uncomfortable. Is the core of this barrier magnetic field interference. Yakushi Kabuto attacked again, and countless bloody liquids were continuously shot out. Any substance contaminated by this liquid would be completely petrified. A piece of clothing on Hagoromo Manato's body was petrified and shattered. Hagoromo Shinto shouted angrily, and blasted out a golden electric current light wave from his palm. Yakushi Kabuto was blown away. At the same time, the 4th generation Reikage suddenly stepped forward, and the thunder axe of righteous thunder struck down with a powerful hammer with a bang. He saw the staff in Minato Hagoromo's hand quickly transforming into a golden sword. Countless electric currents spurted out dazzling brilliance, and turned into vast lightning to directly block Reikage's blow. As a direct descendant of the Hagoromo clan, Hagoromo Shinto had already awakened the blood inheritance in his body. Surrounded by a huge golden thunder escape, he suddenly released a special barrier technique, quickly suppressing the thunder escape blockade arranged by Union Village. Magnetic field control. On the entire Shirogakure peak, thousands of electric currents condensed on Hagoromo Shinto's body, making his body more and more powerful. Facing many enemies looking around, the golden sword in his hand, combined with his own power. You read www.ukanshu.net. Thunder escape divine welcome. The sky suddenly became cloudy, with lightning, thunder, wind, and rain, and endless electric current formed a dark golden giant thunderbolt in midair. A violent and destructive aura came towards them, shocking everyone present. The power of thunder and lightning continued to fall on the huge ball of thunder and lightning in front of me. During the expansion process, it gradually covered the entire cloud-hidden peak. It seems that everyone is going to be swallowed up by this black hole-like dark gold lightning ball. Kabuto Yakushi and the 4th Reikage decided to evacuate the scene in the face of Hagoromo Manto's strong offensive stance. However, the power and range of Hagoromo Manto's attack were far beyond their expectations. The moment the dark golden energy of thunder and lightning exploded, an inexplicable distortion appeared in the entire space. Genius website address. Mobile version reading URL. Chapter 431. Seal sent from heaven. The dark golden current swept through the entire Shirogakure peak, turning into a terrifying power that shattered the sky and the earth. Even though the 4th Reikage had already asked the Kumo ninja to evacuate, they were still frightened by the terrifying thunder release in front of them. Except for the 4th Reikage and Yakushi Kabuto, most of the white Zetsu were killed by this move. The entire Shirogakure peak was razed to the ground, and the special electromagnetic barrier previously arranged was also destroyed. Hagoromo Manto slowly landed on the ground, holding the golden sword tightly in his hand, but his body was very tired. He almost collapsed after just one divine greeting move, but the golden runes activated on his forehead allowed him to quickly activate the activation repair mode. The secret technique of UIE, the heavenly seal. Being an ancient wealthy family that could rival the Uchiha and Senju during the Warring States period, the Hagoromo family's unique secret technique is naturally extraordinary. In fact, Tsunadeheim's Yin seal is a reference to the Hagoromo family's heavenly seal. The Yin seal is similar to the Tensen seal in that chakra is usually accumulated on the forehead, which will form a unique shaped mark on the forehead. The Yin seal is a diamond shape, and Hagoromo Minato is a character. Both release a large amount of chakra when needed, by breaking the ninjutsu seal. The difference is that the heavenly seal absorbs natural energy from nature. During the process of sealing the forehead, these natural energies are gradually converted into its own chakra, which is very similar to the Libra family. To be precise, the Libra clan is a relative of the Hagoromo family, just like the Senju clan is the same as the Uzumaki clan. Precisely because the Hagoromo family has a unique ability to control and transform chakra, their clan members, including the Golden Horn and Silver Horn, can use even the Ninetales chakra for their own use. Today, Hagoromo Minato has used his conscious brain to fully activate his blood inheritance. Under the illumination of the huge golden character energy, the injuries on his body are constantly being repaired. Suddenly, a sharp blade fell from the sky and turned into a dazzling killing song. Huang Linglu cuts the knife. Using various parts of the body and physical skills, he can flexibly use the 7 knives. His unpredictable and fast knife skills are hard to guard against and cannot be seen clearly. At the moment, Kirabi, combined with the Sonic Thunder Escape Sword, will once again enhance his speed and strength. However, Minato Hagoromo, who relied on the Thunder Chakra mode, had no worse body activation than Kirabi. Under the light of the thin golden wings like an electric arc, Minato Hagoromo turned sideways and suddenly performed a swordless attack. During the daily sparring between Shiraishi and Unohana, as a top-level female swordsman who mastered the 8,000 styles of kendo in the world, she taught Shiraishi a special move called no sword attack, which is used to deal with enemies who are extremely skilled in swordsmanship and swordsmanship. The core of the no knife attack is to rush into the opponent's arms at the perfect time, control the knife, and then take away the whole thing. Therefore, the core of this move is mainly timing judgment. To put it bluntly, it is a variation of grabbing a white blade with bare hands. Although it is a simple attack without a sword, it is very deadly in the moment. When the master makes a move, Hagoromo Shinto suddenly presses Kirabi's 2 sabers back into the scabbard. The gap created, countless golden lights turn into fatal killing move. Oops, my knife. The 2 sabers were returned to their scabbards, causing Kirabi's offensive continuity to be damaged, and the electric light cut a bright red blood mark from his cheek. This guy's strength is terrifying. You must not be careless. The 8 tails in his body also reminded him that the chakra on Hagoromo Manto's body gave it a very ominous aura, and even the 8 tails was frightened. Why do you want to come back? The 4th Raikage quickly punched out to block Hagoromo Minato's attack for his younger brother, and his tone couldn't help but become urgent. Brother, you want to bear everything by yourself. How can I allow it? The 4th Raikage transferred most of the main force of Kumo Ninja. Although Shirogakure village was not disbanded, as the Raikage stayed here alone, it showed an attitude. Kirabi does not want to become a burden to his elder brother, so he must participate in this battle. A and B have been partners since childhood, and their relationship is closer than real brothers. Therefore, Kirabi will never allow his eldest brother to bear all this alone. In Hidden Cloud Village, every Raikage must have a partner. After AI became a Raikage candidate, the Sandaime Raikage recruited a large number of new generation ninjas. Only one of them can inherit the name of Hibi and assist the Raikage. While performing his best, he also has to serve as the Raikage's guard. This is B's important responsibility. During this period, Dode served as the examiner for the Xianyu Thunderplow Hot Knife ability test and was responsible for testing their coordination with AI. They were required to use the Junyu Thunderplow Hot Knife to break the neck of the rubber doll together with AI. The same force must be applied to the left and right at the same time strength to succeed. There are very few successes. The Sandaime and Dode were full of expectations, but were disappointed until Kirabi appeared. From then on, B became AI's brother. Therefore, the bond between the two has been cultivated since childhood, and their unbreakable relationship is better than that of biological brothers. In the distant Sunagakure base camp, Nagasebei sat down at the front and looked at the person opposite with a hint of helplessness in his eyes. Morimoto, why are you here today? The former commander-in-chief of the navy, Ryoharu Morimoto, disappeared for many years in Sunagakure. Now he has returned again. He is no longer as high-spirited as before. His face is covered with stubble, and there is a trace of vicissitudes in his eyes. Morimoto Ryoharu and Nagasebei, the two have grown up together since childhood, and they know each other's personalities well. However, the teacher did not mention Morimoto Ryoharu in his previous mission. It was obvious that he came to the Shirogakure frontline on his own initiative. I just hope I can help the teacher in Sunagakure. Seeing Naga's Bizun about to speak, Morimoto Ryaji shook his head and continued, although our side currently has an absolute advantage, and it is a matter of time to conquer the Kumogakure battlefield, the teacher hopes to complete this matter on the eve of the decisive battle in Konoha, /U00261T/P/U003. This is also a headache for Naga's Bizun. At the moment, Kumogakure seems to be abandoning the village and hiding in the desolate northern area of the Land of Thunder to engage in guerrilla warfare with Sunagakure. If this is done, it will be impossible to complete the effective mission of Kumogakure village. What can you do? This is the rough distribution map of the 64 bases in the northern part of the Kingdom of Thunder. Morimoto Ryaji handed a sealed scroll to Naga's Bizun. Seeing the distribution map in front of him, Naga's Bizun was a little unbelievable. Have you been walking in the Land of Thunder all these years? I have been in self-exile in the north of the Kingdom of Thunder for the past few years. The road of self-exile is also the road of self-awakening. In the past, Toguri Sauji gave up everything, created the 8 heavenly calls, and passed it on to himself, just for the two people's common ideal. However, with the construction of the Navy Department, ambition grew in his heart, and he had already left his past ideals behind. Only then did a series of events occur, which ultimately made his teacher completely disappointed in him. Teacher, he has never really blamed you. For him, the most important thing is to complete the unification of the ninja world, and make this world truly peaceful. I understand. Just when the two of them were about to continue talking, you read www.okanshu.net. The terrifying explosion coming from U9 Peak in the distance attracted the attention of the two people. It was obvious that Hagoromo Manto fought with the 4th Raikage in the others, attracting the attention of Sunagakure's side. Out in the starry sky, in the palace, where Otsutsuki Ryashiki is, the other half of the power of the reincarnation eye has finally been completely refined into a special silver pill. Compared with other chakras, the Tensekan, which relies on the concentration of countless Byakugan chakra, is more suitable for the physique of the Otsutsuki clan. The moment the Otsutsuki dragon style is taken, the heads all over the body stand up one by one, turning into terrifying dead air. Aoki Shiraishi. We are about to begin the final round of competition. Genius website address. Mobile version reading URL. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 432. Let's just watch the show. Hagoromo Manto's Thunder Escape Chakra mode combined with the Heavenly Seal allowed him to suppress the Raikage brothers in terms of chakra volume, while Yakushi Kabuto stuck out his tongue and coldly paid attention to the changes in the battle situation. Point at this time, Kirabi used special force skills to rotate his waist, and the multiple blades on his body were constantly rotating, and he drove his arms to slash Hagoromo Manato's side from bottom to top quickly, hard, and sharply, which was quite shocking. Means the power of the 8 tails is blessing Kirabi, which obviously increases the pressure on Hagoromo Manato. Point compared to other Jinchuriki, the 8 tails is second only to the 9 tails among the 9-tailed beasts. In addition, the Jinchuriki has a perfect control level, so it is much stronger than the Jinchuriki encountered in the past. Point seeing this, Hagoromo Manato stepped back, not using his strength but borrowing it, and fiercely rushed forward amidst the clicking sound. His back straightened, his left arm raised high, electric current surrounded his whole body, turning into a dragon roar. At this time, the thunder escape power in Raikage's body continued to increase, causing his face to suddenly turn red, his temples to suddenly bulge, and the muscles in his right arm to swell. His erection suddenly exploded with strength, and he launched another fierce attack. Hagoromo Manato's body spun quickly, and the electromagnetic control generated on his body turned into black magnetic escape under his feet, blocking the Raikage's attack. Magnetic escape. In fact, in Shiraishi's split body, Hagoromo Shinto's understanding and mastery of magnetic escape is no less than that of the original Shiraishi. It can even be said that Hagoromo Shinto specializes in magnetic escape in addition to thunder escape. The silver magnetic escape turned into a huge tray, which resisted the 2 attacks. At the same time, the thunder escape and the magnetic escape perfectly combined and turned into a giant silver giant point faced with Hagoromo Shinto's aggressive attack. Kirabe also exploded with all his strength and instantly transformed into a full-tailed beast. Kirabe's full-tailed beast transformation allows him to fight with his complete consciousness intact, so as soon as he takes action, countless tailed beast jade forms surrounding him and fall. On top of Hagoromo Minato Pointer, the silver giant's palm quickly shot out with a collapsed posture, and he caught Kirabe's tailed beast jade attack. At the same time, he saw the 8 tails from behind turned into a whirlwind and attacked. The tailed cow ghost is the 9 parts of chakra that the 6 paths sage Otsutsuki Hagoromo separated from the body of the 10 tails. It is a giant bull with a tail that resembles an octopus tentacle. The 8 tails has a manic personality and ranks second in power among the 9-tailed beasts, second only to the 9-tailed 9 llamas. In the past, the 3rd generation of Raikage had cooperated with Kumogakure's ninjas many times and used the 6 paths ninja tool to defeat the 8 tails and sealed it in Fuke's body until Kirabe appeared. Due to the existence of the 8 tails, it can be used in conjunction with the Jinkriki to be immune to Jinjutsu, so Hagoromo Shinto's lightning strike Jinjutsu has no obvious effect on the 8 tails. In fact, the perfect Jinchuriki is very simple, that is, humans and tailed beasts fully trust and communicate. The 8 tails were influenced by Kirabe's optimistic personality in the process of getting along with him. After mutual recognition, Kirabe became the perfect Jinchuriki and established a deep bond. This is the so-called perfect Jinchuriki. Countless magnetic escapes formed a huge thundercloud energy, which enveloped Hagoromo Minato. As the silver giant and the 8 tails were fighting each other behind him, a huge energy beam from the moon also suddenly fell. However, the giant light beam in front of me is not aimed at Union Village. With a bang, the beam of light and Hagoromo Shinto perfectly combined, forming a horrifying aura of terror holding a blood-red Kusanagi sword. Yakushi Kabuto knew very well that Hagoromo Manto might perform some powerful escape technique next, so it turned into a terrifying red storm and struck point. By lurking for so long, he was just waiting for the moment when he could truly kill with one strike. In an instant, a small dimensional hole opened, and a pair of Manjaki Sharingan locked the blood dragon eyes Yakushi Kabuto. For an instant, the two sides looked at each other, caught in a confrontation in the field of illusion. Uchiha Kid, who came from the direction of Earth Country, and Mizukage Kito Heizuki, who was already on another battlefield on the front line, appeared on the battlefield almost at the same time. During the eyeball competition, Uchiha Kid showed a surprised luck point in the regular Mangekai Sharingan Eye Power competition. The blood dragon eye was not afraid at all, and even had a vague tendency to suppress itself. After all, the blood dragon eye is the ancient blood successor. Now that Kabuto Yakushi has fully awakened the power of the blood dragon eye, there should be a certain will hidden in his body. Just the will of chakra controls Kabuto Yakushi. Spiritualism, without any nonsense. Medicine Master Kabuto quickly channeled Zenaya, and a huge red snake appeared on the battlefield. Seeing this, Ghost Lantern Heiau quickly formed a seal. Psychic technique. Huge whale roars filled the sky, and ancient giant whales soared in the sky, carrying terrifying wave attacks, and the sky suddenly started to rain continuously. Ask for rain, the thunderstorm mixed, and affected the entire Kumogakure battlefield, making Hagoromo Manto's condition even stronger. In fact, the energy released from the moon base just now was pure moonlight energy, which was mixed with the thousand-faced scarlet mirror to absorb the moonlight and convert it into chakra energy. When Hagoromo Shinto was fully integrated, he launched the final attack. Kirabe, who has completely transformed into a tailed beast, has a fierce light in his eyes. He uses his tentacles to wrap around himself and rotate, forming a huge airflow storm that is powerful enough to change a large area of terrain. Tailed Beast Volume 8. At the same time, at the Sunagakure base camp of the Kingdom of Thunder, looking at the continuous thunder outside, and various terrifying air currents raging, Nagase Bizan ordered the entire army to wait and see. Morimoto Raiji slowly stepped forward. Do you need me to go check it out? Fire Fist Ace has left the Kumogakure battlefield and headed to the Fire Country to join Shiraishi and others in preparation for the final decisive battle. Naga's Bison, who stayed behind, is currently the top commander of Sunagakure. The battle over there is not something we can interfere with. The instructions from the teacher have arrived, indicating that the undercover Minato Hagoromo arranged by Sunagakure in Shirogakure has been exposed, and is currently teaming up with Kiduchiha and Heiukaden to fight against the Raikage brothers. It turns out that the famous Hagoromo Manto is also an ally. When he conquered the land of clay, Naga's Bison was a little jealous of the genius of the Hagoromo clan from the north, but he didn't expect that he was one of his own. Compared with the terrifying power he displayed when fighting Raikage now, the previous battles had always been a waste of time. At that time, many people in Sunagakure felt that this genius of the Hagoromo clan was nothing more than that. It turned out that Yu reading www.ukanad was just showing off. This person's true strength was the same as Uchiha. He was a peerless villain, and only the teacher could do it. Take control of these evil men. No matter what. Let's watch the show this time. Ryoji Morimoto also felt the same way. Although he had the trump card of 8-day call, he still felt inferior to those like Hagoromo Shinto who could have such strong combat power in regular battles. Although the 8 heavenly calling technique is listed as a forbidden technique along with the 8-gate dungeon, it depends on the user's physical condition. Even if Morimoto Ryoji turns on the 8th active state, he may only be able to maintain it for 3 seconds. The 8-gate dungeon is currently one of the few who can threaten Beishi, but he is only a threat. Genius website address. Mobile version reading URL. Chapter 433. Burning Blonde Warrior. On the Shirogakure peak, countless rebels were scattered on the ground. Amidst the chaos, a dazzling silver light flashed out. Hagoromo Minato held a golden longsword and pointed it directly at the 4th Raikage and Kirabe below, releasing the most powerful energy. Strong offensive stance. A giant chakra sword shining with golden light is condensed in the hand of Hagoromo Manto. It is very gorgeous, and at the same time, gives people a feeling of fatal threat. In a similar way to the Kinrin reincarnation blast, the vast beam of light previously released from the moon in the sky directly assisted Hagoromo Minato to transform into this sword posture. We can't confront you directly. Kirabe didn't seem to realize the threat of this chakra lightsaber, and the tailed beast Maki turned into a powerful storm and rushed towards Hagoromo Manto. Wind escape is restrained against thunder escape. This is Kirabe's understanding, so Kirabe can use his wind escape unscrupulously to resist Hagoromo Minato's lightsaber attack. The 4th Raikage naturally knew what his stupid brother was thinking, but this lightsaber is by no means as simple as thunder escape. It contains special yin and yang escape changes. Raikage's intuition was correct. Kirabe, who had completely transformed into a tailed beast, had several tentacles cut off without mercy by the lightsaber. Hagoromo Minato succeeded with one strike, and quickly adjusted his lightsaber to release the most powerful strike. The 4th Raikage made a prompt decision, and stood in front of his younger brother with a flash, using his own thunder chakra to create opportunities for his younger brother. The powerful chakra light cut off the 4th Raikage's waist. The 4th Raikage was covered in blood, but he firmly held the golden chakra energy sword in front of him to prevent it from continuing to attack. Brother. With half of his body and his stomach cut open and his internal organs clearly visible, the 4th Raikage used his little remaining strength to create opportunities for Kirabe. You idiot, don't attack blindly. The 8-tailed beasts formed a huge airflow storm, forming endless wind blades that emerged crazily. Kirabe's roar resounded throughout the Shirogakure peak. When faced with his elder brother blocking a fatal blow for him, Kirabe went completely crazy. Seeing this, Hagoromo Manto slowly levitated his body. He controlled the special gravity technique and saw Kirabe in front of him, releasing a very strong bloody aura. The Jinchuriki went berserk. The 8-tailed Jinchuriki's rampage was even crazier than that of the average Jinchuriki. Countless tailed beast jade were shot out crazily, as if they were free of charge, and they were bombarded continuously. It is worthy of being the existence second only to the 9-tails. The number and destructive power of tailed beast jade, when it goes berserk, is far greater than that of other tailed beasts. A huge electromagnetic shield was released around Hagoromo Manto, constantly counteracting Kirabe's attacks. Then he formed seals with his hands, and silver sand rose from the ground, trying to restrain the 8-tails. With a bang, Kirabi's punch shattered countless sands, and even if Hagoromo Minato continued to create pairs of sealing hands, they were all completely crushed by Kirabi's violent power. Do you need my help? Uchiha Kid looked at Hagoromo Shinto in the sky with a half-smiling expression. Apparently he couldn't help but feel funny when he saw Hagoromo Shinto in such a mess. The characters on his forehead flashed with golden light, and Hagoromo Shinto refused without turning his head. Kiden Heizuki is still praying for rain. Your power cannot be used on rainy days. With one sentence, Minato Hagoromo blackmailed the other to split bodies, making Hyuki Uchiha and Kid Uchiha's faces darken. At this time, Minato Hagoromo slowly turned his head, and with the sound of bones creaking, golden light burned on his body. Has this guy transformed? 8-day calling method, the 6th active state. In an instant, the thunder release combined with his 8-day call. Hagoromo Minato's body burned completely, and even his head seemed to turn into a dazzling golden color. He swooped down in an instant, and Hagoromo Minato quickly grabbed the 8 tails with one hand. Tentacles, and then punched out an explosive wave of airflow. The energy fluctuation of the explosion exploded one of the 8 tails tentacles in an instant, but Hagoromo Mana was unyielding. His body turned into a ray of light and suddenly fell down, and he kicked Kirabi away with force. Kirabi, who was still releasing the tailed beast hammer and enjoying the bombing, was completely stunned. This guy, practicing the 8-day calling method, is more serious than the rest of us. Hagoromo Minato is the only being among Shiraishi's split bodies who has practiced the 8 heavenly calling technique to a deep level. He has a special heaven sending seal, and combined with his own thunder escape chakra mode, Hagoromo Manto has far superior 6th active explosive power than the average. Although the 8 heavenly calling technique is a taijutsu widely practiced in Sunagakure, one can truly practice the 8 heavenly calling technique to the extreme. It can be compared with Konohake. At the moment, only Miratsuki is the only one in Sunagakure who has such potential. The rest of the people cannot continue to withstand the improvement at the 6th level of activity. As for the 8th level of immortality, no one can achieve it. Due to his special physique and his year-round training in Shirogakure, a ninja village with a relatively strong taijutsu atmosphere, Hagoromo Minato has never failed to practice the 8-day calling technique. Now, the thunder release chakra mode is combined with the 6th active state. Let him show amazing fighting power. Another punch was thrown, and Kirabi was beaten until he was dizzy. In the Kingdom of Thunder, in a courtyard within the Daming Prefecture, a young man dressed in rich clothes looked at the mysterious visitor in front of him and frowned. Who are you? Why are you here? /U002612. /P/U003. This is Erashi Arakawa, the head of the Sunagakure Intelligence Agency. Erashi Arakawa, the current head of Sunagakure's intelligence agency, appeared at the Daming Prefecture of the Kingdom of Thunder at some unknown time, and used a special method to find the 6th son of Daming Prefecture in front of him. What do you want from me? The 6th young master didn't care that soon a ninja appeared here. Anyway, his father and several brothers were planning to transfer the prison. This insignificant young master himself was obviously an abandoned son. However, the appearance of the sand ninja here gave him, the abandoned child, a chance. With just one eye contact, Arakawa Erashi clearly confirmed the thoughts of the 6th young master in front of him. It's just a cooperation to help the young master gain more power. Now that Suna Ninja appears here, and his father and others have already fled the city, he is not a fool. He naturally understands the purpose of Suna Ninja's appearance. Since I still have some value in your eyes, let's cooperate well. Arakawa-lan was stunned for a moment, and didn't know what to say. This 6th young master accepted this more readily than he thought. According to the intelligence, he was just an ignorant playboy. There is no need to doubt anything. Living in such an environment since childhood, you need to learn to tolerate some things. Just like your ninja purpose, you are a person who can endure everything. That is Konoha's purpose. There is no such purpose in Sunagakure's textbooks. Yawning, you read www.ukanshu.net. The 6th young master of the damning mansion stretched his waist, slowly lay down, and looked at the sky. Sorry, I just need to convey the meaning. Life still has to go on, even though it has to bear the reputation of a subjugated king, but these are unimportant things. Anyway, Sunagakure will still have good food and drink to provide for himself and continue to live like a moth. Facing such a sixth young master who had no ambitions but was extremely cooperative, the top brass of the Sand Ninja Intelligence Department were on the verge of tears. If they had known that this man was so cooperative, they wouldn't have come all the way here. Thinking of something important, the sixth young master laughed and said, "By the way, after this is done, I want to move to Sunagakure and want the best house in the Oasis Ring area." No problem. Genius website address. Mobile version reading URL. Chapter 434. The Kingdom of Thunder is destroyed. The sixth young master of the damning mansion has chakra, and he makes no secret of this. For him, although it is important to enjoy life, he must also prevent his death from being inexplicable. However, his teacher was not from Jounin village, but a monk who traveled around the world. After a short period of guidance, he mastered the practice of chakra and developed 3 attributes. The talent was obviously good, but it was a pity that the sixth young master was already over 20 years old at the time, and his body was in shape, so naturally he could not continue to improve his strength point. After confirming the agreement, the Sand Ninja took full action in the Kingdom of Thunder. After all, the main force of Shirogakure and the daimyo were taken away, leaving only ordinary courtiers. Controlling the Kingdom of Thunder became a very simple matter on the battlefield of Shirogakure. Kabuto Yakushi noticed that Kirabi was getting weaker and weaker, and his body turned into a red whirlwind, but he saw the ghost lamp Heiau and Uchihakid attack at the same time, with the ruler and the flaming sword attacking at the same time. It was obvious that with these two people skimming the formation, Yakushi Kabuto couldn't take advantage at all. Although Blood Dragon Eye's blood successor was powerful, it was not powerful enough to confront 2 shadow level experts at the same time. The 4th Kazekage had very little life left, and this ambush in Hidden Cloud Village was considered a complete failure. Yakushi Kabuto made a quick decision and quickly formed a seal, turning into a red demonic mist and leaving the battlefield. The blood successor of the Blood Dragon Eye seems to have hidden his strength. Yakushi Kabuto's true identity may be related to the person he was investigating, Azura Otsutsuki. On the core battlefield, the 4th Kazekage half knelt down. Even though his body was almost cut open, he still did not give up the fight. Seeing his dearest brother being bullied by Hagoromo Minato, he stood up little by little with great difficulty. The once again condensed thunder escape chakra allowed him to slowly stand up with a terrifying will. Can this guy still fight? B. I order you in the name of Kazekage, get out of here. In any case, this may be all that I can do for Kirabi. Thinking of the 4th Kazekage turning into a blue whirlwind, he suddenly stopped in front of Hagoromo Minato. Hagoromo Shinto ignored Kazekage. What can you do now? Enough to kill you. The fingers of the 4th Kazekage gathered together and turned into a vast thunderlight. Thunder release hell assault penetrates the hand with one finger. One finger penetration is the strongest ninjutsu of the 3rd Kazekage. It concentrates chakra on the fingers and has very strong penetrating power. The 3rd Kazekage once used this technique to defeat the 10,000 person defense earth escape technique set up by the Iwagakure village. Showing the terrifying power, and the power of this technique can be increased as the number of fingers decreases. When this technique was strengthened to the point where only one finger was left, it was called the strongest spear, and the 4th Kazekage used his last strength to focus on this finger facing the 4th Kazekage's one finger piercing hand. Hagoromo Minato sneered, and golden electric current exploded all over his body. He also condensed one finger and used the one finger piercing hand gesture. At this moment, Hagoromo Shinto, illuminated by the golden light behind him, turned into a pair of golden wings surrounding him, and finally turned into a golden storm and rushed directly towards Kazekage. The final blow between the two sides is to determine the outcome with one finger and one hand. B. Retreat. The 8 tails in the body saw that the 4th Kazekage was using his own life to delay time, and he made a prompt decision and quickly sacrificed one of his tentacles to activate a unique substitute technique. Kirabi didn't want to leave, but he knew better that if he stayed here, he would only let down his elder brother in vain. Thinking of this, he had no choice but to cooperate. As for Kirabi's retreat, Uchihakid and Inato Heizuki did not rush to pursue them. Now that the war in the ninja world has reached this situation, even if they do not take action on their own side, Uchiha Madara and Yakushi Kabuto will collect the Jinchuriki as bargaining chips at present. We have 7-tailed beasts, and we are not afraid that the remaining 2 Jinchuriki will not show up. In addition, there is now a blood feud between the 4th Raikage and Kirabi will definitely appear on the battlefield in the future. It's over. The Raikage is dead. In the final showdown, the 4th Raikage is dimmed in the end, and the bright red mark on his neck symbolized that the outcome was decided. Hagoromo Minato, who had the blessing of the 6th active state, was not the Raikage who could fight against the monster the moment the two sides clashed with each other. Hagoromo Shinto's fingers directly cut off the Raikage's head. In terms of Thunder Release Chakra mode, the strongest person in Shirogakure village is undoubtedly the current Hagoromo Minato. Even Kid Uchiha thought that he had a low chance of winning against Minato Hagoromo. In such a state. After all, the relationship between the blood inheritance power in the two bodies has always been difficult to deal with between the split bodies, but this battle made Uchiha Kid have to admit the true strength of Hagoromo Shinto. The head of the 4th Raikage fell to the ground. Hagoromo Shinto slowly grabbed the Raikage's head and looked in the direction of Kirabi, who was fleeing in the distance. The operation in the Kingdom of Thunder has begun. Soon, Sunagakure sent the head of the 4th Raikage to the damning mansion of the Kingdom of Thunder. At the same time, Sunagakure did not follow the traditional rules of the ninja war and directly surrounded Damning Mansion. Although Shirogakure had previously planned to transfer the daimyo of the Kingdom of Thunder and several of his important princes, but after they transferred these people, a certain unnoticed prince left in the Damning Mansion suddenly announced that he was the new daimyo. It was obvious that he had the support of Sunagakure, and he used the power of Sunagakure from outside, which directly caused the internal political chaos of the daimyo administration in the Kingdom of Thunder. Sunagakure was very efficient, and soon the official document of the Kingdom of Thunder surrender came from the daimyo mansion, and the identity of the remaining Kumonin who evacuated Shirogakure village and the escaped daimyo became illegal. The situation in the Kingdom of Thunder has not completely calmed down, but officially, Jounin village and the Kingdom of Thunder have been destroyed. Nagase Bizan led the Navy Department to continue sweeping the battlefield of the Kingdom of Thunder, while Minato Hagoromo, Kid Uchiha, and Heiai Wanadon were rushing towards the Kingdom of Fire. The 4th Raikage died in battle, and Shirogakure village and Damning Mansion were controlled by Sunagakure. In a sense, the plan to destroy Shirogakure was completed. Is this the head of the 4th Raikage? In the Damning Mansion, he was wearing clothes that he was not used to. Looking at the head of the 4th Raikage in front of him, he instinctively wanted to vomit, but he was quickly restrained. I want to give the 4th Raikage a good burial. Oh, regarding Irashi's oppressive gaze, the 6th young master clearly expressed his opinion. He is your enemy. You reading www.ukanshu.net, but at the same time he is also a warrior who protects this country. Can you understand? Faced with the 6th young master's insistence, Irashi could only contact Shiraishi, but the latter readily agreed. Shiraishi's magnanimity naturally doesn't care about these small things. The most important thing for Sunagakure right now is a decisive battle with Konoha. According to the news he received, Uchiha Madara had arrived in Konoha and reached an agreement to cooperate with Senju Tobirama. Suddenly, the situation on the battlefield changed dramatically again. Beishi, who was waiting for the return of several other split bodies, was adjusting his state and preparing for the upcoming decisive battle. In addition to Madara Uchiha, his opponents also include Ryushiki Otsutsuki of the Tenge clan and Ajura Otsutsuki in the Dark Genius website address. Mobile version reading URL. Chapter 435. The Second Pot King of Konoha. Uchiha Madara disdains joining forces with the Konoha ninjas, but after coming to the Konoha village's sphere of influence, in order to avoid unnecessary trouble, through Uchiha Obito's connection, the two sides formed a tacit understanding in a sense. However, Uchiha Madara is not in a hurry to take action. After all, he is now in the state of reincarnation. Although he has an immortal body, he is also extremely fragile in a sense, because the limit of his strength is limited to that range. He is indeed stronger than Senju Hashirama, but the range of his strength is limited. Even Hashirama cannot suppress the 5th Kazekage, so he must revive in a state of complete victory before he has a chance to truly fight against the 5th Kazekage. In Konoha under the auspices of Senju Tobirama, although the two sides have formed a tacit understanding, most of them have the purpose of dying together with Aoki Shiraishi. Uchiha Madara's heart is like a mirror, and not only Senju Hashirama, but also Uchiha Obito has similar thoughts in it. However, in several battles with the Kazekage, Obito suffered heavy losses. From a subconscious point of view, Obito had some kind of fear in his heart, and now he could not expect this guy to play any useful role. Black Zetsu is also worried, and Uchiha Madara's lurking is not a bad thing. Since the two of them currently have the same interests, Black Zetsu also hopes to help Uchiha Madara more. Black Zetsu, who returned from the direction of Shirogakure on the front line, said in a very serious tone, "Kiraba's position has been locked. Obito, you deal with the 8-tailed Jinchuriki first." Taking advantage of the fact that Konoha and Sunagakure entered the final stage of the decisive battle, Uchiha Madara directly asked Obito to deal with the 8-tails issue first. The 8-tailed Jinchuriki must master an important chess piece now. In fact, Kirabe had nowhere to escape. After the battle with Hagoromo Manto, although he wanted to go deeper into the northern region of the Land of Thunder, he was always under Zetsu's surveillance. Uchiha Obito's attack was sudden. After tearing apart several tentacles of the 8-tails with the power of his divine power, he finally succeeded in catching the already embarrassed Kirabe and extracted the 8-tails from his body using the sealing technique. As for Kirabe himself, Obito Uchiha sealed his body behind the scroll. To complete the control of the 8-tails in the Konoha base camp, a large number of sealing barriers were continuously deployed. The defense of Konoha under the personal command of Senju Tobirama was almost in accordance with the traditional defensive battle array pattern of the Senju clan during the Warring States period. Monkey, besides the Kazekage, how many cage level opponents do Sunagakure need to pay attention to now? There are as many as a dozen. In addition to Unohana Kikayo and others, Muratsuki, Iroquois Erishi, Iroquois Kashiwa and others all arrived on the battlefield one after another, blocking Konoha in an encircling manner. Compared to the cloud-hidden village in the Kingdom of Thunder, there is still the northern wasteland that can be evacuated. As the center of the ninja world, the country of fire and Konoha have almost no direction in which to evacuate. Sunagakure is now arranging and advancing the compression step by step. A large number of puppet troops and a huge group of aerial puppets are locking the entire Konoha, and the pressure on people is very terrifying. Has Uchiha Sasuke not been found yet? Suddenly, Danzo turned to look at the absent-minded Uchiha Itachi, obviously intending to use this matter to challenge Uchiha Itachi. But Senju Tobirama scolded, "Danzo, shut up." Yes, although Danzo was the pot king of Konoha, even the 3rd Hokage didn't give him face. He was only in awe of Senju Tobirama, his mentor. There was a hint of dissatisfaction in the 2nd Hokage's voice, and Danzo immediately became obedient. Now is definitely not the time to persecute the orphans of the Uchiha clan. There is another Uchiha Madara outside, and this Uchiha Itachi is obviously the same type of person as his former disciple Uchiha Kagami. Why should he be so oppressed? Senju Tobirama has always regretted the annihilation of the Uchiha clan. He did not expect that the conflict between the Uchiha clan and the village would eventually escalate to this point. This was also caused by his original wrong arrangement. When his brother Hashirama Senju passed away, ninjas from other countries tried to take advantage of the situation. Tobirama succeeded him as Hokage and stepped forward to protect the village and its residents. The use of flying thunder magic makes ninjas from other countries fearful. The ninja world, which was once in turmoil due to the deaths of Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama, was temporarily frightened and suppressed by Senju Tobirama's powerful space-time ninjutsu. After Tobirama succeeded to the throne of Hokage, he raised the Konoha seedlings established by his brother into a big tree. Due to Tobirama's efforts, the Senju clan had a higher say in the village. In order to solve internal and external troubles, Tobirama showed superb political skills. He established the Konoha police force internally, and the main positions were all held by members of the Uchiha clan. This not only expressed his trust in Uchiha, but also allowed him to observe Uchiha's behavior. Every move. Since then, the Uchiha clan's fame and power in Konoha have reached their peak. Externally, Tobirama established an Anbu under the direct command of the Hokage to strengthen centralization. It was the first intelligence unit among the 5 major countries at the time. The most important thing Senju Tobirama brought to the entire ninja world was the establishment of the Konoha Ninja School for the inheritance of will. Many of the best ninjas today came from this school. Tobirama's above practices were imitated by ninja villages from other countries and had a profound impact on the ninja world. The second generation Hokage Tobirama established the Konohagakure Ninja School. Among them, Sarutobi Hiruzen, Shimura Danzo, Uchiha Kagami, Akimichi Tofu, Mito Kadanen, and Kaden Koharu in their teenage years were the Konohagakure Ninja School. The students of the same period are directly led by the second generation Hokage Senju Tobirama. This move also ensures that after the Senju clan gradually withdraws from the highest power stage in Konoha, the entire institutional system of Konoha village established by the Senju clan can be passed down perfectly. Although Sarutobi Hiruzen and others are not the blood successors of the Senju clan, they are actually the real political forces of the Senju clan. Urading www.uakunshu.net. Uchiha Itachi was very powerful, at least among the Uchiha people he knew. He was second only to Uchiha Madara, and even better than his old rival, Uchiha Izuna. With such a powerful trump card, Danzo would not hesitate to offend him at this time. Senju Tobirama really feels that his apprentice is too old and his IQ is a bit behind. Although he was also the pot king of Konoha in the past, this second generation pot king is really, in fact, it was Danzo's habit to quarrel with the Uchiha clan every day, and the rebuke just now was also a small move of his habitual bullying of Uchiha. Of course, there is also the daily fight against the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen. Uchiha Itachi has a good temper and won't say anything when he is being challenged, but this time, when it comes to his younger brother, he is actually very nervous. During the time when Sasuke disappeared, Itachi tracked him through special perception and could only confirm that Sasuke was still alive and well and knew nothing else. Senju Tobirama had a lot to think about. Suddenly he looked at Jiraiya, who had just returned. How do this generation of Nine-Tails Jinchuriki control their own power now? Although Jiraiya is his disciple, Senju Tobirama still respects him very much. After all, he is one of the few ninjas in Konoha who knows Senjutsu, and he has both the heritage of Raichi Cave and Mount Myoki. Genius website address. Mobile version reading URL. Chapter 436. Now you are more important than Sasuke. Jiraiya didn't know how to answer this question, because although he had taught Naruto Senjutsu, he had not taught him how to control the power of the Nine-Tails. Senjutsu is important, but the source of his real power comes from the Nine-Tails, so he must speed up his control of the Nine-Tails. Mentioning this matter, Itachi Uchiha, who was worried about Sasuke, suddenly said, I can help him master the Nine-Tails as soon as possible. Itachi's plan made Senju Tobirama frown deeply. He was a little unsure and asked, is it a Jinjutsu? The best way for the Uchiha clan to control tail beasts is to use Jinjutsu. The Uchiha clansman in front of them has the Mangekyou Sharingan, which can indeed control tail beasts, but for the Jinchuriki, the increase has limited significance. Regarding this question, Uchiha Itachi shook his head. No, pure control is not difficult to increase the power of the Nine-Tails. I can only help Naruto communicate better with the Nine-Tails. Uchiha Itachi is a very observant person. In his view, Nine-Tails is actually a creature that can communicate. As long as he learns to cooperate and communicate with him, Uzumaki Naruto's natural strength can be greatly improved. This plan sounds very fantasy, but Senju Tobirama trusts Uchiha Itachi's judgment. Jiraiya, please take Itachi to Mount Myoboku. Time was running out. Although the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki was Konoha's most important trump card, Uchiha Itachi also had limited time, and he was very worried about his brother's condition. There was still one day left for Sunagakure's general attack. Since Kazekage confirmed that the attack time would not change, he used the last day to make reasonable and effective arrangements. Uchiha people cannot be trusted after all. After Uchiha Itachi left, Danzo muttered something that made Hiruzen Sarutobi dissatisfied. Itachi is someone you can trust, as if he was born to be at odds with the third Hokage. Danzo fired back with his nostrils raised to the sky very arrogantly. You are still so naive, Hiruzen. 4. Two students who are very young and are still tit for tat with each other. Kai and Jutabijin has a headache. Among the students who graduated from the ninja school, Hiruzen Sarutobi's abilities were the most outstanding, which attracted Tobirama's attention. Soon Tobirama made Hiruzen a key training target, so that the young Hiruzen has been under his strict rules since he was a child. Grow up under education and careful care. Hiruzen's talent and intelligence were valued by his master Tobirama, which made Danzo jealous of him at the same time, thinking that Hiruzen was the only one in the heart of the second generation Hokage. This was also the origin of the conflict between him and Hiruzen Sarutobi. Later, Danzo successfully became the second generation Hokage's disciple. After receiving the guidance of the second generation Hokage, Danzo made unremitting efforts and learned a series of extremely powerful wind escape ninjutsu. What makes Tobirama very troublesome is that Danzo and Hiruzen often bicker. Therefore, Tobirama often warns them that their companions must unite with each other. In order to allow them to live in harmony, Tobirama usually lets them act in pairs when performing tasks. In addition, Senju Tobirama also asked Uchiha Kagami and Akimichi to take the wind. Mitokaden and Koharu each formed partners to act together after a long period of performing missions. Tobirama's students regarded each other as friends. Hiruzen and Shimura Danzo also regarded each other as competitors and have been competing with each other. Danzo was even more prejudiced against the Uchiha clan than he was. Senju Tobirama clearly remembered that Uchiha Mira had used illusions many times to help Danzo Shimura get out of trouble during missions in the past. Why does he hate the Uchiha clan so much now? Moreover, he still has a hint of wood release and Sharingan in his body. Danzo is afraid that there are many kinds of experiments behind his back. Even Uchiha Madara was resurrected by him through the dirt reincarnation. The current situation in Konoha is very similar to when Shirogakure surrounded Konoha, so you don't have to be afraid of anything. When Senju Tobirama was old, his 6 students gradually grew up one by one. However, at this time, the first ninja war broke out. Shirogakure village made a desperate move and sent more than 1,000 ninjas to invade Konoha. Tobirama led the elite ninjas in the village to prevent the invasion of the Cloud Ninjas, protected Konoha village, and brought victory to Konoha. This resulted in Shirogakure being defeated. Sarutobi Hiruzen, Shimura Danzo, Mito Kabuto, and Koharu were all 4 people who had experienced it at that time. Tears filled their eyes, and they knelt down one after another. I'm sorry, teacher, for making you worry. Both the teacher and Hashirama-sama were long dead. They had to risk their souls to participate in this great ninja war for the sake of Konoha. Thinking of this, they all knelt down. Watching the old guys reminiscing with their second grandfather, Tsunade and the 4th Hokage Namikaze Minato were watching silently from the side, like little transparent bodies. Fortunately, he is also a descendant of the Senju clan. Now if it were another Hokage, being ignored like this would probably be a bit different. Tsunade-sama, in addition to us, Konoha can revive more people to fight, such as my wife Uzumaki Kushina. Uzumaki Kushina is a true sealing master. In the past, when Kyuubi was away from her body, she could still use the life chain to restrain Kyuubi, which shows that she is very powerful. Danzo was also thinking about this matter seriously. At this time, Mito Kadanen said, in the Uchiha series, Uchiha Mira, Uchiha Cham, and Uchiha Shizu can all be reincarnated in the earth. Mentioning the Uchiha lineage, the 3rd Hokage silently shook his head. I'm afraid Zen and Shizu are not suitable for each other. Kagami died too early, and the Sharingan has not evolved into a kaleidoscope. Just kidding. Konoha forced Uchiha to the point where they were almost exterminated. Even the 3rd Hokage of these people couldn't guarantee that their attitude towards Konoha would still be the same as before. You can use a curse seal to control it forcefully. Itachi. Uchiha is a living person. Excessive calculations against Uchiha may cause unavoidable internal conflicts. Namikaze Minato, who was originally a little transparent, strongly opposed Danzo's approach. As Jiraiya's companion, Tsunade was also in the position of the 5th Hokage, and also opposed this style of doing things. Mount Miyuki, let me communicate and cooperate better with Kyuubi. Uzumaki. Naruto stared at Uchiha Itachi with wide eyes. Reading www.ukanshu. He seemed to have no idea that Brother Sasuke would appear here just for this matter. But isn't Sasuke missing? Brother Itachi, you should find a way to find him first. Seeing that Naruto was more worried about Sasuke than himself, Itachi's slightly complicated mood suddenly calmed down. He felt the sunshine of Mount Myomu, and then shook his head. The situation in Konoha is more important. If Konoha is lost, the two of you will how? Can we talk about ties? Both Shirogakure and Iwagakure have been destroyed, and only the Konoha family is left in the three great ninja villages. The decisive battle in one day will be extremely difficult. Since Uchiha Itachi has taken over this matter, he must go all out to help Naruto complete his transformation. Point Genius website address. Mobile version reading URL. Chapter 437. 6 Immortals appear. Konoha 61. Sunagakure's base camp was constructed from special silver metal liquid tents. Compared with ordinary tents, it had stronger protective power and could even absorb a certain amount of chakra. Point under the bright lights, the Sunagakure base camp constantly reflects the dazzling light like glass, giving people a very psychedelic feeling. Point it is obvious that when people from other ninja villages approach this place, they will suffer from chakra confusion, which will lead to illusions in their bodies. Many ninjas in Konoha were captured and arrested because of this. In addition, the countless mirror devices hovering in the sky are another monitoring method for Sunagakure, recording all changes around the entire base. Beep. High density chakra energy reaction. The device suddenly flashed a special light, and then numerous mirrors were aligned to produce a high density chakra reaction area. To identify its identity. Point according to the system matching, the corresponding identities are Uchiha Kid, Ghost Light Hazuki, Hagoromo Shinto, and Fire Fist Ace. Apparently they have quickly returned to the Fire Kingdom battlefield from the direction of the Kingdom of Thunder. After being confirmed as one of their own, these mirror devices evacuated the scene. At the same time, in the base camp, Shiraishi was meeting with the head of the intelligence department, Shiraishi. He had just returned from the Kingdom of Thunder and brought the Daimyo surrender decree. Point after Shiraishi handed over the surrender edict of the Land of Fire Daimyo to Shiraishi, he revealed another piece of information. The Daimyo of the Fire Country has also moved to Konoha and seems to be preparing to live and die with Konoha. Shiraishi's war to unify the shinobi world was also a war to unify the 5 major nations. Compared with the cowardly performance of the Daimyo of the other 2 countries, the Daimyo of the Fire Country was very tough and arrived directly at Konoha itself, coexisting with the entire Konoha. Point Shiraishi didn't care about the Fire Country's famous names jumping up and down. Those who don't need to care about it don't need to care about it. The Daimyo of the Land of Fire have no control over the final direction of this war. At present, in the factory behind Sunagakure, approximately 40,000 humanoid puppet hunters have been produced and successfully delivered to the base camp. Point as of today, the number of puppet troops that Sunagakure has committed to the decisive battle in Konoha has reached 80,000, and the number of ninjas is 30,000. Point this is the largest troop deployment in the history of Sunagakure. It is obvious that Shiraishi wants to establish the final structure of the ninja continent in one battle and not give any force a chance to counterattack and rise. Point compared with the past, the puppet army needed to be controlled by a puppet master. Today's puppet army all adopts the puppet core technology of the lunar Otsutsuki clan and is a completely intelligent force. Point for every 1,000 puppets, there is one commander puppet, which adopts the regeneration core consciousness of one's own puppet and is directly connected and controlled by the thinking brain. The captain models of these hunter-killer puppet teams all have combat capabilities close to those of the hunter-killer number 1. Point originally, the combat power of an ordinary puppet hunter was almost equivalent to that of a jounin. Combined with the 2 characteristics of being immune to conventional ninjutsu and absorbing the opponent's chakra as its own energy, even an elite jounin would accidentally overturn when faced with it. Point however, the leader model of the hunter has been upgraded from a normal Rasengan to a small-tailed beast in terms of offensive ninjutsu. The weapons are all special Thunder Chakra mode swords, and the fuselage is made of a special alloy for defense. Point in fact, the 80 captain machines of the Shiraishi puppet force all have combat power that exceeds the average elite jounin level. Point in addition to these conventional ground force configurations, Sunagakure also prepared more than 100 giant bombing puppet dragons, 15 giant human puppet weapons, and more than 1,000 conventional air attack puppets, as well as puppet delivery devices. Countless surveillance equipment are almost everywhere inside and outside Konoha village. Coupled with the huge reincarnation eyes on the moon, the entire Konoha defense is completely under observation point. This battle is the crushing of the times. From the perspective of these troops alone, Sunagakure has an absolute advantage. In addition, in terms of shadow level powerhouses, Hagoromo Shinto, Uchiha Kid, Onin Heiau, Fire Fist Ace, Kikayo, Anohanaritsu, Hagura, etc. The dozen or so Sunagakure warriors all gathered together, and they basically suppressed Konoha in terms of high-end combat power. The only thing that needs attention is Uchiha Itachi, Uchiha Madara, Senjuta Birima, Namikaze Minato and other strong men who exist beyond common sense. Father, have something to eat. Aoki. Shigeru has been accompanying his father during this period, and is very well behaved. Tomorrow's decisive battle, you must always pay attention to your two teammates Gaara and Uzumaki Tomoko. Speaking of tomorrow's decisive battle, Shiraishi seemed to remember something, and warned his son, the two of them are my companions. Father should not doubt them. Aoki. Shigeru is a smart child, and he could hear unusual meanings from Shiraishi's words, but Shigeru didn't care about his son's objections. Attention does not mean suspicion. Uzumaki Tomoko's blood successor is very special. I'm afraid that she will be controlled by someone with intentions. As for Gaara, after all, he still has the tailed beast sealed in his body. Shiraishi did not tell the truth, but asked Aoki Shigeru to take over the job in such a way. Gaara said that Shiro is not from this world after all, and he has not shown his cards to him to this day, which makes Shiraishi very worried about his movements. Throwing Gaara's infinite Tsukuyomi into this world, Six Paths Sage's move would never be untargeted, and it would definitely be his backup move. The key issue at hand is the unlimited monthly reading point. Although the world he was in was not the real infinite Tsukuyomi world, but a world with a new timeline, derived from the limited Tsukuyomi world, Shiraishi didn't know what the Six Paths Sage's plan was, but it's clear that everything has to do with this world of infinite Tsukuyomi. In addition to the will of the Six Paths Sage, there are two other undercurrents, namely the mysterious Ashura Otsutsuki, and the Otsutsuki Ryushiki from the outside world. Among them, Otsutsuki Ryushiki should have completed the transformation of the power of the reincarnation eye. Reading www.ukanshu.net may not be what it used to be, so he must guard against his opponents the last Ashura Otsutsuki. Shiraishi had a premonition that one day he would meet one day. Slowly closing his eyes, Shiraishi was already very tired from the arrangements of the past few days, so he was ready to take a short rest. Seeing his father enter a resting state, Aoki Shigeru slowly stood up and left, gently pulling down the tent curtain. However, in an instant, Shiraishi slowly opened his eyes, and his consciousness appeared in another special dimension world. At some point the moment he raised his head, a blurry figure came quietly in front of Beishi. The two of them sat on both sides. Beishi didn't seem to be surprised by his appearance, and asked very calmly, "Who are you?" As the blurry figure in front of him gradually became clearer, he spoke in a very serious tone. "I'm the founder of the peaceful order of the world, the Six Paths Sage Otsutsuki." Hagoromo finally met Shiraishi in a special way in the dream world, but Shiraishi knows very well that his appearance is not just for him to cheat the creator of peace. For a moment, Shiraishi smiled sarcastically, as if he had heard some funny joke. Genius website address. Mobile version reading URL. Chapter 438. The bet between Shiraishi and the Six Immortals. Six Paths Immortal, I didn't expect that we would meet me in this way. The moment the two people were talking, the surrounding scene switched. In a courtyard, a pot of brewed tea was placed between the two people. In this ninja world, Shiraishi is the one who has obtained this qualification, and can face to face with the Sage of Six Paths. Lord Kazekage, when you were growing up, you received the inheritance of Ashura and swore an oath in the name of the ninja sect to create a peaceful world for this world. Have you forgotten? The first thing the Immortal of Six Paths said was to mention the origin of Shiraishi and Ashura. This made Shiraishi's eyes show a trace of thought. Could it be that Immortal of Six Paths didn't know the origin of Asura? Shiraishi would not fall into the trap of the Sage of Six Paths. Haha, the Asura you are referring to is Asura Otsutsuki or Asura, the son of the Sage of Six Paths. This sentence has a different meaning, but the Immortal of Six Paths still answered the question seriously and head on. From the moment you make the oath, there is no difference between the two. Asura Otsutsuki had a strange origin, and the Sage of Six Paths was not completely unaware of it, but he chose to ignore it, which actually made Shiraishi smile. Is this old guy very flexible? Shiraishi spread his hands and expressed his helplessness. So, am I not working hard to unify the ninja world? Your methods are too cruel. He had never seen such a shameless feng-eyeing. The Six Paths Sage's face twitched, and he was in a bad mood. Before the Immortal of Six Paths could get into the circle, Shiraishi shook his head. Six Paths Immortal can't understand that this is a troubled world. It's just a conventional war, not a massacre plan. Otherwise you wouldn't be able to communicate with me here calmly. The era that Sage of Six Paths lived in was an era of horrific wars, where humans were fighting each other. In addition, for these thousands of years, the Six Paths Sage Chakra has been observing the entire ninja world, so he naturally understands the meaning of Shiraishi's words. The Sage of Six Paths in front of him has two horns on his head and 6 red magatama on his body. He is honored as the ancestor of ninjas in history. Naturally, he has extremely powerful experience and understands what Shiraishi means. The war you started may lead to even greater disasters. Young man, have you ever thought about yourself becoming a pawn in the hands of others? The Sage of Six Paths was naturally referring to Otsutsuki Kagawa's seal and the issue of the Tinged clan. In fact, I have already made all preparations. What's more, the person who comes to the infinite Tsukuyomi may not be Kagawa in the end, right? These words made the Immortal of Six Paths speechless. This guy, how did he know? The Ten Tails is the ancestor of chakra, and its true identity is a sacred tree. Before there was chakra, wars were raging. The princess from the moon, Kagawa Otsutsuki, ate the forbidden fruit of the sacred tree, and obtained chakra to calm the wars. And the 2 children born to this princess were the first humans to possess chakra. One of the children was Otsutsuki Higuraromo, known as the Sage of Six Paths. The sacred tree that had eaten the forbidden fruit took violent action in order to regain the chakra and transformed into the Ten Tails, but was stopped by the Sage of Six Paths. The Sage of Six Paths saved the world from Otsutsuki Kagawa and used himself as a vessel to become the Ten Tails Jinkriki. Before he died, the Sage of Six Paths used his last strength to split the Ten Tails into 9-tailed beasts using yin yang escape. And the Ten Tails body was sealed with the Earth Blast Star, and the Ten Tails body sealing stone was the moon. Shiraishi is naturally aware of this series of changes, but he is also very clear about the origin of this world. In fact, it is derived from the limited Tsukuyomi world. The real Kagawa is in the future timeline, not the current timeline. Therefore, the infinite Tsukuyomi released by Uchiha Madara may not be the one summoned by Otsutsuki Kagawa in the end, but another existence. This is also the real backup plan of the Immortal of Six Paths. Facing Shiraishi's gaze, Immortal Liudeo lowered his head in embarrassment and took a sip of tea. He pretended to be very comfortable and said, although mother has strong power, her experience is too low, and she is no match for you. Besides, I don't want her to learn from another person. The world is called upon. Well, even the Sage of Six Paths thinks that Kagawa is purely an experience bag and has no real combat power. But the more this happened, the more wary Shiraishi became. But he soon smiled and said, let's change the topic. Is this world's pure land of bliss beginning to be unable to maintain its seal? Mentioning this matter, the Sage of Six Paths suddenly became solemn. My chakra can no longer be maintained for long. Hell has been out of order for many years, and powerful chakra is needed to continue to maintain the operation of the Pure Land. At this moment, Beishi's expression changed, and he angrily scolded the Immortal of Six Paths. Old guy, do you want to trick me into maintaining the Pure Land of Paradise? It is a fact that hell is out of order. There is a question mark as to whether the Six Paths Sage's chakra can really maintain the Pure Land. He just wants to deceive himself into suppressing the Pure Land and then solve the situation in Konoha Point. Scratching his head, the Sage of Six Paths could only smile awkwardly after being exposed. Haha, I've been seen through. The overlord of the ninja world is really powerful. Hey, the two children Azura and Indra were reincarnated, and their true destiny will arrive in 1 year. Finally, you started the ninja world war in advance, which made me too passive. It stands to reason that 1 year from now, Sunagakure will have the best chance to truly have the strength to unify the ninja world. Shiraishi's sand hidden development has not yet reached a truly mature stage, just like the hunters who have barely managed to gather 80,000. You must know that in another year, the number can be doubled, reaching a level that truly equals the ninja world point. After enduring it for so many years, why did Shiraishi suddenly move forward at the last moment? The Immortal of Six Paths was puzzled, and at the same time his plan was completely disrupted. Obviously the so-called plot was deliberately started a year in advance. Shiraishi knew very well that in Konoha 62, Uzumaki Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke were truly destined, and all kinds of endless luck would bless the two children of Destiny Point, although he was very conceited about his own strength. Since he noticed the arrangement of the Six Paths Sage, Shiraishi chose to disrupt the situation and started the plan a year in advance, catching the Six Paths Sage by surprise. At present, the two of them are hostile, but during the communication with each other, their words are still peaceful. Perhaps the Six Paths Sage has regarded Shiraishi as an indispensable force in the current ninja world. The Sage of Six Paths looked at the overlord of the ninja world in front of him. Now he was too full of ambition and power. It was his limit to make several arrangements and upgrade the protagonist. This time, inviting Shiraishi to come to the dream consciousness was also a kind of peaceful trial in itself. After all, Shiraishi is also a member of the current ninja world, and he will need to borrow his power to fight against the Tenge Otsutsuki clan in the future. The exchange between the two sides today was essentially a test of each other. The Immortal of Six Paths finally sighed. I just hope that you will not kill too many people. Regarding the somewhat boring question of the Sage of Six Paths, Shiraishi rolled his eyes directly. I'm not the kind of boring murderous person. If Konoha is willing to surrender obediently and go to Sunagakure for transformation, I will not kill them specifically. Transformation. The Immortal of Six Paths didn't understand what this meant, but he could feel the malice inside. It's a pity. I prefer the will of fire. After making a haha, Shiraishi suddenly became lazy. Then let's make a bet and use Konoha's decisive battle as a bet. The old guy suddenly became interested. What about the content of the bet? If my general attack on Konoha fails this time, then the entire Sunagakure army will withdraw from the country of fire, and within my lifetime, the country of wind and Sunagakure will abandon their plan to unify the ninja world. Not bad. You reading www.ukanshu.net. So you won. Although Sunagakure is very strong now, as long as the other ninja villages are given enough time, there will definitely be a chance for a comeback in the future after Shiraishi's death. So Sage of Six Paths thinks this bet is worth taking. At this moment, Shiraishi looked at the Sage of Six Paths opposite with a faint smile, but not a smile. Then I beg you, sir. In the future ninja world, your chakra will no longer be needed to maintain the so-called peaceful order. Hahaha. The Immortal of Six Paths burst out laughing when he heard Shiraishi's words. Interesting. I agreed. Genius. Website address. Mobile version reading URL. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 439, Assassination of Feng Ying. Although the Immortal of Six Paths and Shiraishi are on opposite sides, their exchanges are not particularly tense. Shiraishi in the dream world is not in a hurry to leave, but is observing the Immortal of Six Paths' small pavilion. It seems that the Immortal of Six Paths is very interested in chatting with me here. Old man, what are you planning? Faced with Shiraishi's question, Six Paths Immortal smiled. It's just that I haven't had anyone to chat with me for a long time, so I wanted to chat with you for a while. There. was nothing new in this answer, and there was no sincerity in it. Shiraishi didn't think 6 Paths Sage would be that boring, but Shiraishi didn't care and asked another question directly. There is some kind of special chakra will in Indra's reincarnation. Who is interfering here? Both Sasuke and Kabuto Yakushi were intervened by the power of the special blood dragon eye blood successor, especially Kabuto Yakushi, who almost became a slave under that face and was completely controlled. Is there something wrong with Indra's chakra? The Sage of 6 Paths seemed a little stunned by this information. After he quickly closed his eyes and began to sense Sasuke's chakra, he finally sighed in silence for a long time. That's when Indra's true will begins to awaken. Indra is the eldest son of the Sage of 6 Paths. He inherited the strength of his father Hagoromo from the moment he was born. No matter what kind of difficulties he encounters, he can break through alone. He understands the dogma that only strength is everything. This is incompatible with the concept of the Sage of 6 Paths. Shiraishi doesn't want to point out that the Sage of 6 Paths actually loves his younger son Azura more. Indra believed that he could be the heir to the ninja sect, but his dream was taken away by his younger brother who allowed the younger son to be favored. As if seeing through Shiraishi's thoughts, the immortal of 6 Paths curled up his beard angrily. Is this immortal the confused old man you thought? That's almost it. All the bloody ethics dramas have this setting point according to the Sage of 6 Paths. Indra was blinded by his powerful power and special existence, and could not see any light, so he challenged his younger brother Azura. After the war, Indra swore that his soul would never be destroyed, and he would never recognize Azura, which led to the continuous war between the descendants of the Uchiha clan and the Senju clan. This was also the beginning and origin of all resentment. After Indra's death, his chakra did not disappear, but possessed the outstanding ninjas of later generations to continue fighting with the reincarnations of Azura. This battle has lasted for thousands of years to this day. Uchiha Madara and Uchiha Sasuke are the reincarnations of Indra's chakra, and Hashirama and Madara, Naruto and Sasuke, like the first two brothers, went from being close as brothers to fighting each other. But that is just chakra, not Indra's will and thinking. What will happen to Sasuke and Naruto in the future? The reason is that the two people's own will determines everything. However, the awakening of Indra's will seems a bit unusual. The Sage of 6 Paths put all the responsibility on Shiraishi. Only the emergence of Azura's will can stimulate the awakening of Indra's will. Perhaps I should ask you about this, Lord Kazekage. Shiraishi was a little speechless. That Azura Rotsutsuki in the Azura forest is problematic no matter how you look at it now, but the hidden will in Indra's chakra is that he believes that he is related to Azura. The blood dragon eye originally seemed to be another fighting form of Indra's Manjaki Sharingan. The two turned out to have the same origin. The 6 Paths Sage did not object to Shiraishi's words. The blood dragon eye itself and the Sharingan are blood successors of the same origin, and are much closer than the Uzumaki clan in the Senju clan. The power of the blood dragon eye was transferred to Kabuto Yakushi in order to control one more puppet. However, Kabuto Yakushi's consciousness still exists. At least during the battle at Shirogakure village, Shiraishi was not aware of Indra. Do the 6 Paths immortal family just like to keep tossing? However, the old guy in front of him didn't seem to be worried about Uchiha Sasuke's situation at all. He always felt that he didn't care about the reincarnation of Indra in this generation. Suddenly, Shiraishi finally understood why the 6 Paths immortal was delaying and dealing with him like this. The reason for delaying for so long is just to hope that Namake's Minato and Senju Tobirama will use the flying thunder god to assassinate me successfully. Right. As soon as he finished speaking, Shiraishi's consciousness returned to his original body, and he slowly opened his eyes. The moment he opened his eyes, a huge airflow emerged from all directions, knocking away the two people from Namfeng Shuman and Senju Tobi. It turned out that during the daytime battle a few days ago, Namake's Minato left a special flying thunder god mark on a hunter puppet, which would take a specific amount of time to emerge. The two originally planned to assassinate Shiraishi late at night when he was resting. But they did not expect that when they used the flying thunder god to move to Shiraishi's base camp, they unexpectedly discovered that Feng Ying seemed to be sleeping. Naturally, the two Hokages would not miss such an excellent opportunity. Obviously, the Sage of Six Paths had known about their plan for a long time, so he covered it and trapped Shiraishi in the world of consciousness. Unfortunately, the entire Sunagakure was covered with various monitoring devices. Although the two successfully broke through Sunagakure's peripheral defenses, the alarm still sounded. The two of them stabbed Shiraishi at extremely fast speeds before many sand ninjas could react, but were stopped by 4 hunters guarding Shiraishi. Oh, does the Flying Thunder God really have the illusion of being invulnerable to you? Oops, retreat. The silver light condensed all over Shiraishi's body seemed to indicate that his next attack would be extremely terrifying. Senjutsu Birama and Namikaze Minato didn't dare to fight at all. They used Flying Thunder God to prepare to retreat back the same way, but they saw a ball of energy blade condensed in Shiraishi's palm and suddenly blasted out. Secret technique. Subspace Q-Toff. A sound like broken glass resounded throughout the space switching process between the two. Everything around them was cut open infinitely, showing a fragmented space. The two people using the Flying Thunder God found that the space coordinates were wrong with their own Flying Thunder God. Is this a method for time and space ninjutsu? The two were suddenly confused. Flying Thunder God has always been the most powerful mobile ninjutsu between Namikaze Minato and Senjutsu Birama. Reading www.uakanshu.net gave them the confidence to freely enter and leave the Sunagakure base camp. However, Shiraishi's use of subspace cutting off completely made the two Hokages feel helpless. Have all the Flying Thunder Gods been restrained? The fifth Kazekage of Sand Hidden Village. Why does this guy have so many weird and unheard of secret techniques? A dazzling red light shone on the Sunagakure camp. Senjutsu Birama and Namikaze Minato were forced to fly the Thunder God to appear outside the Sunagakure camp, but they saw thousands of puppet hunters rushing in and surrounding the two Hokages. Shiraishi stepped on the sky and looked down at the two Hokages of Konoha village below. Since the two Hokages are here, don't prepare to leave. Genius. Website address. Mobile version reading URL. Chapter 440. Madara's mood. The explosive airflow swept through the entire Sunagakure periphery. Shiraishi charged out with force, and a terrifying torrent of death rolled up around him. Namikaze Minato and Senjutsu Birama knew that the opponent in front of them was terrifying, and they were trapped in the enemy camp. Just as they were waiting seriously, a giant meteorite suddenly fell from the sky and hit Shiraishi in an extremely fierce manner. Meteorite? Uchiha Madara, who had opened his Samsara eye, slowly walked towards Shiraishi with an extremely serious attitude. I didn't expect that I would just use the Earth Explosion Star as soon as I came up. One of the abilities of the Rinnegan is a ninjutsu that can control gravity to the extreme and cause great damage to the surrounding environment. If used by someone who is not an eye-opener of the Rinnegan, or who does not have the power of Senju and Uchiha, it will cause extreme illumination to the user. Big damage. Uchiha Madara is different. Combining the power of Senju and Uchiha, he can use the Earth Explosion Star at will, form a huge meteorite to attack Shiraishi, and even create a special Sky Explosion Star. Senjutsu Birama is of some use to me. Although Uchiha Madara didn't like Senjutsu Birama, he had to admit that if the two people in front of him died in the hands of Sunagakure now, then Konoha would almost collapse without a fight tomorrow. When the two used Flying Thunder God to assassinate Shiraishi, Uchiha Madara was observing outside Sunagakure. Unexpectedly, Shiraishi would use a space-breaking attack method to completely crack Flying Thunder God. Obito was also frightened in the dark. The subspace cutoff was not only targeting the Flying Thunder God, but his own divine power was also restrained. So Uchiha Madara had to step forward, but when he and Shiraishi looked at each other for a moment, the long-dusted memories were slowly opened. This kind of combat literacy shows that you have rich battlefield experience, but as far as I know, there is no number one person like you in any country. Who are you? I only took these corpses as materials for a search. Why should I care so much? This is a trophy. When he attacked the Laulan Kingdom to wipe out the Uie clan, he met a mysterious immortal inheritor from Langdi Cave. He stole the Cheyenne spear and the bodies of the Uie clan. Uchiha Madara's memory slowly recovered, and at the same time, he also noticed the figure of Hagoromo Minato appearing in the Sunagakure base camp. That young man, he couldn't remember it wrong at all. He was the Uie tribesman who died on the battlefield. So, are they using the power of dragon veins to travel to the past? Thinking of this, Uchiha Madara directly activated Susanu's second form, and multiple huge blue Magatama condensed around him. Magatama of Yasuka. This move again. The terrifying power generated by the countless Magatama attacks made it clear to Shiraishi that Uchiha Madara had become stronger than when they first met in Lowland Kingdom. Immortal technique Cyclone Flow. When the double-eyed dragon seal appeared, Shiraishi drove the divine sword of heaven in his hand and slashed forward twice, as if he were drawing a cross on a white paper in the void, launching an offensive with great momentum. It's exactly the same move as before, but this time it's even more powerful. The airflow was like an explosion, and the cyclonic flow swelling at high altitude suddenly condensed and compressed into a blue crescent airflow, appearing one after another, crisscrossing and layering with tearing airflow. The moment the Magatama exploded, Madara Uchiha breathed out a fire release go fireball, illuminating everyone's sight with a giant flaming ball of light, forming a giant rolling fireball, and rushing towards everyone in Sunagakure. Is this the art of fireball? In the same situation as the last battle, the crescent-cutting airflow created by Shiraishi cut the giant fireball into 4 parts. However, although the fireball was cut and penetrated, the destructive power of the fire became more fierce, turning into 4 giant flame dragons, hitting the top of Sunagakure from multiple angles. Mr. Madara, is this move to show off that you are better at controlling fire than last time? Last time it was 4 ordinary fire dragon techniques, but this time it was different. The high temperature power produced by the fire dragons was comparable to the last full version of the fire extinguishing. To put it simply, Uchiha Madara showed strength that was several times stronger than before. Now, his strength has surpassed Senju Hashirama. Shiraishi didn't pay attention to these 4 fire dragons at all, because in Sunagakure's base camp, Kikayo, Unohana-Ritsu, Uzumaki Menma, and Fire Fist Ace all shot at the same time. The 4 moves of Demon Breaking Arrow, Instant Killing Slash, Dark Rasengan, and Pure Flame Fist suddenly broke Uchiha Madara's attack from 4 angles. You have recruited many excellent subordinates. Uchiha Madara clearly remembered that Shiraishi and Richard were also in an alliance. Together with this group of capable people and strangers, they silently calculated the comparison of the combat power between the 2 sides. However, at this time, Shiraishi dodged, and a huge energy storm rolled up around him, and he directly attacked Uchiha Madara domineeringly. Lightning strikes appeared all over his body, which seemed to give people the illusion of destroying everything. These attacks made Uchiha Madara a little stunned, but Shiraishi's attack was not over yet, and he saw one after another whirlpool energy flow as fast as thunder coming from his body. Shiraishi's move made Uchiha Madara not dare to be careless. He quickly turned his waist and stepped forward, and cleverly turned the fan in his hand to dodge or block, avoid or hit, in a steady and orderly manner, forming an airtight airflow offensive. During the interlacing process of dazzling brilliance, Susanoo, who was guarding Uchiha Madara, once again condensed 30 Magatama energy, forming a special vortex, and projecting out rapidly. Uchiha Madara said coldly, last time it was 3 Magatama, this time it is 30. Compared with the last time, Shiraishi took the initiative to attack, and Uchiha Madara reacted accordingly. This time, Uchiha Madara actively attacked, and Shiraishi responded calmly. It is enough to show that the strength of both sides is changing. What's more, Shiraishi's attack just now has already put pressure on Madara-sama. Of course Uchiha Madara will not admit this. 30 Magatama was enough to raise a small shinobi village to the ground. Facing Uchiha Madara's attack, Shiraishi condensed dazzling golden light with one hand, which suddenly turned into thousands of light sources, emerging from all directions. The power of light. The signature method of ancient beasts traversing other worlds exploded from the palm of Shiraishi's hand, forming a dense ray of light that directly shattered Uchiha Madara's 30 Magatama, and at the same time, pierced the Susanoo below into a hornet's nest. Senjuta Birama and Namikaze Minato chose to flee the scene when Uchiha Madara and Shiraishi fought. Although the Flying Thunder God was destroyed, UU reading www.ukanshu.net, but they themselves were highly mobile ninjas, and escaped very quickly. Susanoo was completely destroyed, and even several holes were punched in Uchiha Madara's body. 31 Novel Network. Uchiha Madara's face gradually turned dark. He never thought that he would be suppressed by a junior. Although Shiraishi was very excited to have an additional opponent when he inherited the Kazekage position, his mentality was completely different from now. This bastard brat. Uchiha Madara was in a bad mood. Genius website address. Mobile version reading URL. Chapter 441. This is not the Madara I know. Uchiha Madara did not choose to continue fighting with Shiraishi. After Susanoo and the 30 Megatama were destroyed, Shiraishi rarely showed an unexpected look when he looked at the ruins in front of him, point scanned by countless detection devices. The disappearing coordinate axis appeared on the huge projection system, indicating that Uchiha Madara actually chose to retreat and did not continue to fight. No, there's something wrong with this script. Uchiha Madara is not the most arrogant person in the ninja world. So why did he retreat? This is the famous Shura from the ninja world. Uchiha Madara has always been at sundear to Shiraishi and likes to be tough. Unexpectedly, when faced with the Sunagakure army and Shiraishi this time, Mr. Madara directly chose to withdraw from the battlefield, as if he was just here for a visit and just finished. He supported the two Hokages in their retreat and then left. Of course, if Shiraishi were Uchiha Madara, he wouldn't choose to fight head on when Sunagakure's main force is gone. He is the reincarnated body of filthy earth. Now opposite Sunagakure, there is a special purifying Mako, as well as a great swordsman who can harm the soul. Plus the strength is no less than his own and even vaguely superior to Feng Ying. Uchiha Madara was not a fool, so he retreated very decisively without any hesitation. Ninjas who came from the Warring States period were not simple characters. The chaotic Warring States period was full of killings and betrayals, and various bloody inheritances and weird secret techniques emerged one after another. During this period, it was impossible to guard against it. As a veteran on the battlefield, Uchiha Madara was very accurate in judging the situation. Although he failed to solve the three troubles in one go, Shiraishi was not in a hurry. At the moment, the state of his 18 attribute crystals was not adjusted to its optimal state. On the other hand, in the Sunagakure camp, Uzumaki Menma dressed as a black sand ninja was a little disappointed. The ninja who just appeared in Konoha on the battlefield should be his father in this world. He knew very well that he was not the same person, but when he saw Namake's Minato, Uzumaki Menma still couldn't control his emotions, sensing that Menma Uzumaki was in a low mood. Ace laughed and hugged him. Well, continue eating meat, drinking wine and partying. Ace's optimism gave Uzumaki Menma a bit of a headache. During this period, he was dragged by this guy to drink and eat meat all day long, and he hardly ever calmed down. Moreover, there were actually a group of drunkards in the Sand Ninja who liked to mess around with Ace. Shiraishi slowly fell to the ground, looking at Uchiha Madara's disappearing back in the distance, his eyes filled with thoughts. Uchiha Madara, I didn't expect you to take action. In the distant wilderness, Senjuta Birama and Namake's Minato, who had just evacuated from the Thunder God, happened to meet Uchiha Madara, who had also withdrawn. Even Senjuta Birama dreamed of Uchiha Madara coming to help. He knows better than anyone how deep Uchiha Madara hates him. After all, the two sides have a bloody feud with Uchiha Raizuna. Uchiha Madara seemed too lazy to talk to Senjuta Birama and directly focused on Namake's Minato. Senjuta Birama noticed Uchiha Madara's abnormality and secretly held the kunai in his hand at some point. After noticing Birama's movements, Uchiha Madara finally spoke coldly and proudly. You are also the Ninetales Jinchuriki. Uchiha Madara's first words made Namake's Minato's expression change. Senjuta Birama suddenly raised his kunai and directly assumed a fighting stance. Madara, do you want to start a fight now? The Ninetales rebellion caused by Uchiha Obito in the past was stopped by Namake's Minato. Namake's Minato summoned the Shinigami at the cost of his life and split the Ninetales into yin and yang halves with the soul blade. The Yinjiu Lama was born with the opposite attributes and was pulled out by the hand of death and sealed in Minato's body. Previously, Uchiha Madara noticed that when Namake's Minato used Flying Thunder God, he was hiding a chakra feeling that was familiar to him. Originally, Namake's Minato's seal was perfect, but the relationship was severed due to subspace. At that time, Namake's Minato was almost ready to use the immature Ninetales chakra mode, causing Uchiha Madara to detect this trace of Ninetales chakra. As soon as the confrontation between the two sides came into contact, Uchiha Madara sneered. You should know that the only way to defeat the 5th Kazekage is to give me the Power of the Kyuubi, Minato. Namikaze, who had golden hair, kept shaking his head like a rattle and refused. I'm sorry, I have other plans for this half of the Kyuubi chakra. The remaining 9 tails power in Namikaze Minato's body was originally prepared for his son Uzumaki Naruto. Compared to Uchiha Madara, Namikaze Minato was more willing to believe that his son was the savior. The atmosphere became very delicate for a moment, and just as the two sides were in a stalemate, Yakashika Buto, Black Zetsu, and many searchers from Konoha gradually arrived. In desperation, both parties had no choice but to shelve the matter for the time being and return to their respective areas at Myomu Mountain. Uzumaki Naruto, with the assistance of Uchiha Itachi, communicated with Nine Tails again and again. Just like the original plot, Naruto absorbed the key to unlock the seal left by the 4th generation and opened the seal in the consciousness space to fight the Nine Tails. But this time, with the help of Itachi, Uchiha and his mother Kushina, Naruto seemed to have suppressed the Kyuubi and could extract the Kyuubi's chakra normally. But in fact it was the Kyuubi who was secretly helping Naruto. Naruto is not a perfect Jinchuriki. When using the Nine Tails chakra, his own life was also swallowed by the Nine Tails. He talked to Naruto many times, but broke up unhappy. He accidentally heard Naruto say that he wanted to understand him. Stop eating Naruto's life away. There was even one time in the illusion world, Uchiha Itachi cast a special illusion to affect Uzumaki Naruto's mental content. But one thing always remains, that Uzumaki Naruto has never resented Kyuubi. This allowed Kyuubi to feel that the Jinchuriki in front of him was different from those in the past. Perhaps he was a trustworthy existence. Brother Itachi, what's wrong with you? In the realm of daily illusion consciousness, Uzumaki Naruto suddenly found that Uchiha Itachi's demeanor was completely different from the past, and his body seemed to release an unbearable sense of oppression. Kyuubi is an unfortunate power. You are not capable enough to control this power, so I decided to take it away. Facing Itachi's oppression, Uzumaki Naruto gritted his teeth. It's not unfortunate. I have never thought that being with it is unfortunate. Little devil. Kyuubi was completely shocked at this moment. reading www.ukanshu.net because it did not expect Uzumaki Naruto to say these words, recalling Naruto's journey along the way. Nine Tails was finally influenced by Naruto and released a huge red light from his body. At this moment, Uzumaki Naruto and the Nine Tails fist understood each other. The Jinchuriki and the tailed beasts merged into one, and Naruto became the perfect Jinchuriki, able to fully control the power of the Nine Tails. Looking at the completely successful Uzumaki Naruto in front of him, Uchiha Itachi slowly removed his Jinjutsu and showed a hint of smile, but it soon dimmed. Sasuke, where are you? Genius website address. Mobile version reading URL. Chapter 442. Sasuke appears. In the Leaf Village, Namikaze Minato and Senju Tobirama returned with heavy faces. Tsunade, who had been waiting for news about the two, couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief when she saw that the second grandfather and Minato had returned safely. Seeing Tsunade's worried look, Namikaze Minato felt a little embarrassed for a moment. Sorry, Tsunade-sama, we failed. In fact, Tsunade didn't expect the two of them to succeed. The 5th Kazekage's personal strength was so strong that a simple assassination would not consume so much of Konoha's power to deal with such an opponent, and even the filth reincarnation was used. Aoki, Shiraishi has mastered a special space-time blocking ninjutsu move that makes it impossible for both of us, Flying Thunder God, to escape Sunagakure. Senju Tobirama explained in detail the subspace cutting intelligence he had collected, and then took out a scroll in which Shiraishi's various techniques and abilities were compiled. During this period of time, the 2nd generation Hokage had worked hard. The support from Myomu Mountain will arrive during the decisive battle tomorrow. The Great Immortal has sent 10 stone statues, all of which are outstanding existences of various families in history since the Warring States period. Among the 3 major holy places, Myoboku Mountain has already shown its full support for Konoha. In addition to continuing to allow Naruto to practice, it is also preparing to release 10 stone statues carefully prepared by Myoboku Mountain. At this time, Danzo suddenly remembered something. The whereabouts of Uchiha Sasuke is still unknown. This Sentence directly aroused Sarutobi Hiruzen's dissatisfaction. Danzo, staring at Sarutobi Hiruzen, Danzo secretly scolded this old guy for being so fond of pretending, especially pretending to be pure in front of his teacher, that he was a shameless old thief. Uchiha Itachi is not here. Besides, you don't have the same idea as me. You need to use Sasuke to contain Uchiha Itachi. Compared with Uzumaki Naruto's rapid progress in strength, Uchiha Sasuke's strength stagnated after awakening the 3 Magatama Sharingan. Although he received the mysterious Raichi Cave inheritance, he still felt that his strength was growing slowly, so he left Konoha to practice point. But to this day, everyone in Konoha always has a feeling that Uchiha Sasuke may have awakened the Mangekyou Sharingan now point. Since the outbreak of the Ninja World War, Sasuke's whereabouts have remained a mystery. In fact, everyone in Konoha is more worried about whether Sasuke will encounter any accidents, which will be a big trouble for controlling Itachi Uchiha point. That's right, the meaning of Uchiha Sasuke's existence is to control Uchiha Itachi well, and let him contribute better to Konoha. This is Konoha's true definition of Sasuke point. Of course, there are exceptions. For example, Uzumaki Naruto truly treats Sasuke as a companion, and Hiruno Sakura is also truly an infomaniac. Sasuke Uchiha is the best weapon against Itachi Uchiha. Looking at the sky that was about to dawn, Shiraishi had already made plans for Uchiha Sasuke. Even though Indra's chakra is affecting Sasuke. After all, Sasuke is one of the children of destiny. Indra cannot control him, and can only rely on Yakashika Buto to influence Sasuke point. Although Indra's chakra consciousness has awakened, Shiraishi is not the original Indra, and his IQ and thinking mode are relatively simple. Shiraishi basically confirmed this situation when he fought against Yakashika Buto. Sasuke's loss of pupil power has been serious. Uchiha Sasuke went to Rain Ninja Village some time ago to find Uchiha Kid, hoping to gain more power. Uchiha Kid assisted Sasuke in opening the Mangekyou Sharingan during the process of guiding Sasuke point. Sasuke, who obtained the Mangekyou Sharingan, was suddenly full of gratitude to Uchiha Kid, and asked Uchiha Kid to arrange for Sasuke to go to several small countries to perform secret missions. During the whole process, Uchiha Sasuke used the power of the Mangekyou crazily regardless of restraint, resulting in the loss of eye power. Sharp point discovering that his eye power was constantly draining like a river dam collapsing, Sasuke left the Rain Ninja Village in fear. During the trip, Indra Chakra, who had been monitoring Sasuke, was also anxious. It's daybreak, along with Shiraishi's words, the dazzling sun shone over Konoha Village. Today, Konoha Village is basically empty of people. Only the ninjas who are left to fight for the decisive battle are left. Most of the civilians have been relocated point at the same time as Shiraishi slowly rose into the air. reading www.ukanshu.net. Flying devices, giant dragon puppets, and ground puppet troops all over the sky officially launched their attack on Konoha. Tsunade-sama, do you still choose to continue fighting? Recognizing Tsunade at the front of Konoha Village at a glance, Shiraishi spoke softly. He and Tsunade had fought against each other during the Third Ninja War, and the two of them were not completely unfamiliar with each other. Oh, you disciple, prepare for a decisive battle. Konoha will never have any fear. Tsunade's words of disciple made Shiraishi's face darken. The younger generation of Suna Ninja below didn't know what happened. They had participated in @Genius website address. Mobile version. Reading URL. Chapter 443, Brotherly Love. Sasuke. After Uchiha Itachi noticed that there was some kind of chakra will control on Sasuke, he immediately used it. His figure suddenly flashed, holding a special sword tightly in his hand, and used the special Uchiha fluid technique, messy snow and flour. In the flying snowflakes, the sword flashed countless times. As the famous taijutsu of his former friend Uchiha Shizu, this move was used again on Itachi, just like Shizu's resurrection in the past. However, Sasuke saw the power of the red blood dragon eye erupting from his body, turning into a torrent of violence, and spreading from his body. At the moment, when the weapons of both sides were clashing, a steady stream of domineering blood red chakra energy spread out, suppressing Itachi Uchiha. Simply speaking, from the amount of chakra and destructive power, Uchiha Sasuke is in extremely strong condition now. but Uchiha Itachi mainly focused on skills. His body transformed into countless crows, and at the same time, his Kodachi danced quickly, forming a gorgeous sword dance. 1 becomes 3, 3 becomes 9. Uchiha Itachi's teleportation technique became so powerful that Sasuke could hardly judge the direction of his true attack. Unable to tell which one was the real Uchiha Itachi, he resorted to the most powerful range damage move. The moment Uchiha Itachi blocked, Sasuke flashed his sword, and blood red light enveloped his body. Countless red thunder escape chakra stimulated Sasuke's body, and the exclusive thunder escape mode of Kumoin village suddenly appeared on his body. After the destruction of Kumogakure village, Kabuto Yakushi obtained some of the records of Kirabi's secret techniques in the process of capturing Kirabi, among which the thunder chakra mode was taught to Sasuke. Blood red electric current condensed all over Sasuke's body, and the dark and bloody chakra smell became stronger and stronger. Facing Sasuke like this, Uchiha Itachi slowly unfolded the illusion crow in his hand. No god. Before Shisu died in the battle, he had entrusted half of the Sharingan to Uchiha Itachi, hoping that it could help him in the future. Now faced with his brother almost going berserk in time and space, Uchiha Itachi decided to use another god on Sasuke. The two were entangled for a moment, and a crow appeared on Uchiha Itachi's hand, and the main Gekkai Sharingan suddenly appeared on his eyes. What? Unprepared, the other gods used it, causing Uchiha Sasuke to kneel down half kneeling, and the chakra on his body showed signs of confusion. As the evil red chakra dissipates little by little, it shows that the power of other gods restrains it. Seeing that the evil chakra consciousness in Sasuke's body was gradually erased, Uchiha Itachi was about to step forward and help Sasuke up, but he saw the long knife on Sasuke's hand stabbed out of nowhere and pierced Itachi's chest. Sasuke, in the darkness, a mysterious little red snake observed the situation from the dark. Giggle. Uchiha Itachi, although other gods are powerful, it is still not that simple to completely suppress my consciousness. From the beginning, this little snake has been hiding in the darkness, quietly controlling the changes in the battlefield in front of him. Indra's chakra consciousness controls Sasuke far better than ordinary illusions. Although the other gods successfully freed Sasuke, the remaining Indra's chakra consciousness guided Sasuke himself to do it. That stabbing blow just now was Sasuke's own choice. Sasuke quickly withdrew the knife. Obviously he didn't expect that he would actually use the knife on his elder brother. Sasuke, you did a great job. The unexpected sound alerted Sasuke, Uchiha Itachi, and Indra's chakra consciousness in the dark. The power of domineering red flames suddenly exploded from behind Uchiha Itachi. The moment he turned around, Uchiha Kid, who was wearing a red cloud and black robe, had already activated the strongest state of the main Gekkai Sharingan. The power of the red sun directly penetrated Uchiha Itachi. Under the impact of the explosion like airflow on his body, Uchiha Itachi spurted out a mouthful of blood. It's you, grabbing Shisu's other main Gekkai Sharingan inside the crow. Uchiha Kid sneered. Stupid brother Itachi, Shisu's Sharingan should be returned to its original owner. /U 0026 NBSP. Shisu's kaleidoscope. Oops. Uchiha Itachi had no time to stop him. The moment Uchiha Kid main Gekkai Sharingan was integrated into his body, a steady stream of huge chakra energy spread from all directions. Sasuke, this is the eternal main Gekkai Sharingan. If you take Uchiha Itachi's main Gekkai, you will also gain this power. Sasuke, that Uchiha Kid was right. Take down Itachi's eyes. The consciousness demon transformed by the blood red chakra kept urging Sasuke to take action as soon as possible, but the latter gritted his teeth and held down the long knife in his hand. Shut up. The moment the other gods were activated, they exerted some Jinjutsu suppression on Sasuke, but the appearance of Uchiha Kid greatly reduced the effectiveness of the other gods with the power of the eternal main Gekkai Sharingan. Uchiha Kid focused on the little red snake in the distance. I see. This is your true body. Oops. The little red snake fled quickly, and Uchiha Kid quickly rushed to the direction of the little snake regardless of the situation of the Sasuke brothers. Indra's chakra consciousness. Just after Uchiha Kid left, Sasuke looked at the dying Uchiha Itachi in front of him, and the knife in his hand couldn't help but tremble. Uchiha Itachi barely stood up, his body burning with the terrifying red sun energy left by Uchiha Kid. Sasuke, what are you still hesitating about? Itachi struggled to speak. He had just been plotted by key Uchiha, especially that domineering red sun energy that attacked without warning, burning all the cells and internal organs in his body point. But he couldn't fall down yet. Seeing Sasuke froze on the spot, walking towards his brother step by step. "Forgive me for the last time, Sasuke." After a moment of silence, Uchiha Itachi smiled and nodded his brother's forehead. At this time, he chose to let go of everything, took off his Sharingan, and handed it to Sasuke point without giving Sasuke any chance to speak. Uchiha Itachi then slammed his body directly into the long knife on Sasuke's hand point. Blood was sprinkled on Uchiha Sasuke's face point. The cold blade completely penetrated Uchiha Itachi's body. At the same time, Uchiha Itachi showed a relieved smile. He chose to bear everything and die in Sasuke in order to atone for the Uchiha clan members who died in his own hands and to maintain the last honor of the Uchiha clan point compared to Uchiha Kid. "I'm the real sinner of the Uchiha clan point." Therefore, Uchiha Itachi chose to die at the hands of his younger brother, which also completed his own liberation and redemption. Brother, don't. He couldn't believe the scene in front of him. The big brother who used to be so powerful in Sasuke's heart would actually say goodbye to him in this way. The Manjaki Sharingan in his hand made Sasuke extremely heavy and sad. At the same time, my omission. In addition to the 10 stone statues placed on the Konoha battlefield, there is also a special stone statue that is undergoing strange changes. Fukasaku, Yu reading www.shu.nechima and the two immortals looked nervously at the turbulent stone statue. They quickly formed seals and used immortal magic seals, but they were transformed into a force of darkness by the special chakra power released from the stone statue force. Losing the blockade formed by other stone statues caused this stone statue to become restless. Compared with ordinary stone statues, this giant stone statue has 36 seals cast on it. In addition to the Myomu Mountain Immortal technique, there are also the sealing techniques of the Senju clan and the Uzumaki clan. Feeling the rioting chakra inside, the old immortal in the distance blew out a puff of smoke, his eyes full of fear. Unlike other stone statues that were sealed due to failure in practicing immortal arts, the stone statue in front of him was a taboo existence in the darkest history of Myomu Mountain. The great sage remembered that a few years ago, there was a rebellious ninja in Konoha named Himahu. He only relied on the Senju ancient city to obtain a trace of chakra left over from history in the stone statue, and created an incomplete and defective version of the Onira no Jutsu. Genius website address. Mobile version reading URL. Chapter 444. Laobayan transfer seal. This stone statue under the ceiling formation blocked by 36 layers of magic is a bet made 100 years ago. The Senju clan is a wealthy family that has been able to compete with the Uchiha clan for thousands of years. In addition to the Senju Hashirama brothers, there have been many outstanding clan members in history. One of them is the biggest dark figure in the history of the Senju clan. This member of the Senju clan is the source of the Oni-Milo technique created by Konoha's rebel ninja Himahu. In the past, Himahu went to the Senju ancient city to find relevant records and a trace of chakra in some sealed magic tools, allowing him to create ghosts. The art of Aluoya compared with the shortcomings of Oniluomo's technique. His complete Senju clan blood successor can perfectly integrate the physical existence of other blood successors. However, absorbing a large amount of blood inheritance will cause one's own personality to become more and more extreme and crazy, and even have a tendency of great destruction. At that time, he even had the idea of absorbing the blood successor of the Uchiha clan. In his opinion, obtaining the blood successor of the Uchiha clan would make him physically stronger and create a new blood successor family that merged Senju and Uchiha. His idea was to include almost all the origin bloodlines of the Otsutsuki clan. However, the Senju clan was full of fear of this terrifying and alien idea. Although he was only 16 years old at the time, everyone was afraid of him. Even the leader of the Thousand Hands clan was full of fear of him. That year, the old clan leader wanted to select the next clan leader. He and his competitors had to complete a test, which was to use Myomu Mountain's magical practice as a bet to decide who would be the future clan leader of the Senju clan. But from the very beginning, the so-called cultivation of celestial beings was a scam. The Senju clan and Mount Myomu did not teach him the key to practicing celestial arts at all point. As a result, the chakra balance was destroyed during the extraction process of magic, and then the Senju clan members used a special sealing formation to seal this freak within the Senju clan. The 36 seals symbolize the 36 kinds of blood inheritance he has absorbed, and each seal targets existence point as the darkest page of the Senju clan. Even the Senju brothers are unaware of his existence. However, the great immortal of Mount Myomu knows that, if he wants to deal with Aoki Shiraishi, this trump card must be released. Even though he has been sealed for more than 100 years, his vitality still exists. The chaos of magic and chakra, and the full force of the Senju clan to seal him, he still survives, which shows his powerful vitality. The seal of Myomu Mountain can no longer be maintained for long. The ninja world was in chaos, and the three realms were out of order. The huge stone statue that relied on the power of nature to seal it was obviously unable to suppress this monster. What's more, he has sensed the fresh blood power from outside, which makes his body instinctively desire to devour. Fukasaku, Shimmer, please continue to maintain the seal. Yes, once the monster inside the stone statue breaks the seal, it will be the beginning of the disaster that destroys the entire Myomu Mountain. The old immortal can ignore the turmoil of the ninja war outside, but this unstable factor in Myomu Mountain must be controlled. Reaching peace with the Nine Tails. Uzumaki Naruto's training speed is faster. Now he is fast asleep, but although he is sleeping in the conscious world, his training with the Nine Tails is still continuing. Father, there is a powerful chakra power in the sky. A dazzling silver light turned into a sharp lightsaber and slashed up Myomu Mountain with an absolutely domineering attitude. Golden wheel reincarnation explodes. Otsutsuki Ryashiki, who had already unlocked the Nine Tails chakra, appeared at Mount Myoboku at some unknown time. He slashed down with the golden chakra energy sword in his hand, suddenly shattering the entire barrier of Mount Myoboku. The current Otsutsuki dragon style, after completely devouring half of the power of the giant reincarnation eye, has become very burly, with a strange and forbidding aura all over his body. It's a clan from outside the world. Jiraiya, take Naruto away first. But Jiraiya was a little confused about the situation. The strange person in front of him had chakra fluctuations that were sometimes obvious and sometimes no chakra at all. But based on Jiraiya's instinctive judgment, he was a powerful opponent. His target is the Nine Tails. Let's hold off this member of the Shianwei clan first. A clan outside the sky. What is that? There were a lot of unknown nouns, which made Jiraiya a little confused, but he knew very well that now was not the time for small talk, and Konoha was more important. Thinking of this, he took Naruto, who was still sleeping soundly, to use reverse communication. The spirit technique left Myomu Mountain under the shattered barrier. Otsutsuki Ryashiki frowned, because he found that the nine-tailed chakra that had just appeared disappeared. This made him feel a little bad. In order to defeat Shiraishi, he chose to absorb the last remaining tailed beast that was scattered outside first, but he unexpectedly missed it. As for the strange creatures in Mount Myomu, they all practiced celestial arts and had no chakra on them. The meaning of absorption not big. Wrong. As if he was aware of the existence of the stone statue, Otsutsuki suddenly appeared at the seal in the form of a dragon. Interesting. I didn't expect that a third tribe would be born on this planet. The Otsutsuki clan were all born from chakra fruits. The true Otsutsuki clan on this planet is actually the brothers Kaguya and the Six Paths Sage. However, Kaguya was not born locally, so the person in the stone statue was killed by the dragon. Shiki was identified as the third clan member. The current dragon style also requires a powerful servant, and the one sealed in the stone statue is the best choice. Stop, Fukasaku and Shima tried to stop him, but were knocked back by Ryashiki's casual whirlwind. Although the figure in the stone statue is not yet complete and mature, the Samsara on Otsutsuki's dragon style forehead is open, and the powerful chakra energy shines, causing unknown fluctuations in the stone statue. There was a loud explosion, and a figure appeared in the smoke that filled the sky. He walked out of the smoke step by step, For a moment, the faces of the immortals in Myomu Mountain turned pale and weak. The young man wearing the most traditional warring state's armor suit has a handsome face and long silver hair scattered on his shoulders, giving people a very peaceful feeling. His temperament is completely different from the past. Otsutsuki Ryushiki seemed to be very satisfied with this servant. He slowly walked forward and looked at this member of the Senju clan. Reading www.ukanshu.net. Under the gaze of the reincarnation eye on Otsutsuki Ryushiki's forehead, the silver-haired man seemed to realize what, very quietly stepped forward. Your name? Regarding this question, the silver-haired man was silent for a long time, and finally showed a smile. Remember, my name was Kyanjalauzi. From the beginning to the end, Kyanjalauzi seemed to have no interest or reaction in the Myomu Mountain that had sealed him for hundreds of years, and he did not take this group of creatures seriously. At the same time that Otsutsuki Ryushiki recruited Senjalayu as a servant, Sasuke, who had just obtained Uchiha Itachi's main Gekkai Sharingan in the distance, was about to get close to Uchiha Itachi's body, but saw his body suddenly burning. Sasuke tried to drive away these flames. The transcription seal left by burning Uchiha Kid contained the fire of blue flames. It was difficult to drive it away by conventional means, especially Uchiha Itachi's body, which was gradually burned to pieces. This was the backup left by Uchiha Kid before he left. Although he did not find the little red snake in the end, in order to prevent Konoha from reincarnating Uchiha Itachi, Uchiha Kid activated a special transfer sealing technique, watching Uchiha Itachi's body being swallowed up by the flames bit by bit. A trace of resentment and anger flashed in Sasuke's eyes, and he couldn't help but clenched his fists tightly. P.S. The story of Naruto World is almost over. Look forward to the next New World Story. Genius website address. Mobile version reading URL. Chapter 445. The world of Naruto is temporarily ended. On Konoha's main battlefield, blood flowed like a river. Even though the Konoha ninja tried their best to resist, they were in a state of retreat when faced with the Suna ninja, who was overwhelmed in all aspects of strength. Uchiha Kei holds Itachi, and also uses Uchiha fluid technique to mess up the snow and moon flowers. In the dancing after image, a knife pierces the throat of Shan Fengfeng. With a cold attitude, he writes his battle of revenge. Compared to other sand ninjas, Uchiha Kei targets all members of the Roots, and obviously Danzo and the Roots are the main targets for revenge. Seeing the death of the mountain due to the wind, a Burain took the root and used the poisonous insect technique. However, the burning flames of Uchiha Kite's sword turned into a gorgeous instantaneous flame storm, instantly burning out any poisonous insect that tried to get close. Uchiha style blast sword. She suddenly appeared behind a Burain Tojin and used the sword in her hand to create a huge flaming blade with a powerful diagonal slash. The moment the flames pierced a Burain's body, countless poisonous insects spread from a Burain's body and merged into Uchiha Kei's body. Burain's Roots have special abilities in the clan. There are highly poisonous nano-level poisonous insects in his body, and he has antibodies to the toxins. If someone else is infected with this toxin, they will die due to the destruction of cells in their body. This poisonous insect can only exist in biological cells, and reproduce by destroying cells. Once the host dies, the insect also dies. Because of a Burain's special ability to extract roots, this poisonous insect can only survive in his body. Because of this, he wears a protective suit that covers almost his entire body. He had never attended ninja school for this reason. It wasn't that he didn't want to attend, it was just that he wasn't allowed to point. But he saw Uchiha Kei make a quick decision and quickly cut off his arm with the sword in his hand, and then countless flame energy formed a huge fireball, which directly hit a Burain Torin's body. After the violent energy exploded, a Burain Tojin's body was torn into pieces and completely shattered. Uchiha Kei, who successfully completed the double kill, looked tired. When he saw that his body was weak and it was difficult to stand up, Danzo appeared from behind and used a wind escape. The wind attack came, but was eliminated in an instant. Uzumaki Tomoki appeared on the battlefield very quickly, covering Uchiha Kei behind. The Uzumaki clan brat, Shimura, Danzo. Actually, we have a lot to talk about, such as the fall of the Whirlpool Kingdom back then. With a loud explosion, The spiritual blade in Uzumaki Tomoka's hand condensed and took shape, aiming a Danzo point on the main battlefield of the battlefield. Shiraishi personally stepped into the battlefield. A team composed of Senjuta Biruma, Namikaze Minato, Sarutobi Hiruzen, Tsunade, and the 4 Hokage directly surrounded Shiraishi completely. Konoha's defense system has collapsed, and the battle in the village has now begun. The combat effectiveness of the ground troops and puppets will not take 3 hours to end this ninja war. Shiraishi calmly recounted a fact, but Tsunade suddenly rushed forward and attacked with a strange power fist. Tsunade, don't be impulsive. Faced with Tsunade's all-out punch, Shiraishi's eyes flashed with dragon seals for a moment, and he calmly grabbed his fist with one hand. This power is not enough. As soon as he finished speaking, the divine sword of heaven struck directly, shattering Tsunade's ribs. Namikaze Minato tried to support him, but saw a sudden burst of subspace cutoff, which immediately blocked Namikaze Minato's flying thunder god transfer. Then Shiraishi turned around and punched the 3rd Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen away. At the same time, the whirlwind sword suddenly spread, crushing the 1,000-handed Tobirama of the flying thunder god above. In just 1 minute, Shiraishi completely crushed the 4 Hokages. You are no match for me at all. If you continue to resist, Konoha will only fall into a greater disaster. Konoha will never surrender. Seeing Konoha resisting to the death, Shiraishi didn't have any unnecessary nonsense. When he used his killer move again, he saw 2 powerful chakra energies sweeping over him. Otsutsuki Dragon style. Uchiha Madara, with a huge explosion, Anohanaritsu took action, fully releasing the power of the soul-cutting sword, activating the Uzumaki instantaneously, and killed Otsutsuki Rai style. Kakayo on the other side completely activated the power of the 4 Souls Jade, and the powerful energy of the 4 Souls was injected into Kakayo's body, forming a light that completely suppressed and purified Uchiha Madara. At this time, Fire Fist Ace and Uzumaki Menma faced off against Senjalayu, who was behind the Otsutsuki Dragon style, but saw the latter shaking his head, showing an expression that he didn't want to fight. As the all-out war between Sunagakure and Konoha escalated to the extreme, Uzumaki Tomoko's expression below suddenly changed. Her body seemed to be out of control, and the 3rd reincarnation eye on her forehead suddenly released a bloody red light. Tomoko, what's wrong with you? Go away. Don't come near me. At this time, Kabuto Yakushi walked forward slowly, and the little red snake appeared again. At the same time, the heretic demon statue slowly rose. The 7-tailed beasts that Shiraishi had previously collected were all stored in the outer path demon. Uzumaki Tomoko is the key to controlling the outer path golem. Yakushi Kabuto introduces the 8 tails into the outer path golem. At the same time, Namikaze Minato's body is out of control, and the yin in his body as if out of control. The 9 tails were broken out of his body. The reincarnation of the earth was something he developed for Konoha. Sure enough, you are not Samindra Chakra. Shiraishi lowered his head slightly and looked at Kabuto Yakushi, who suddenly controlled the heretic demon in the distance. To be precise, I should call you Azura. In the Azura forest in the past, the Azura that Shiraishi met was the mysterious man who controlled Kabuto the Yakushi in front of him. Indra's chakra consciousness itself was a scam that he deliberately misled Shiraishi in the 6 paths sage. Azura, who controlled Yakushi Kabuto, spoke softly. I should really thank you, Shiraishi, for such a perfect work by Tomoko Uzumaki. Without her, this infinite Tsukuyomi spanning 3 worlds would not have been truly completed. At this time, Senjalaozi suddenly took action, instantly piercing Otsutsuki's dragon-style body and destroying the core chakra heart in his body. Under the suppression of the special seal, Otsutsuki Ryushiki found that he could not control his body's power, and it gradually continued to flow and was introduced into Senjalayu's body. Thousand Hand Lao Zeng is just another split will that I arranged 100 years ago. The situation was changing so fast that the ordinary ninjas of Konoha and Sunagakure seemed to have no time to react, but Shiraishi knew very well that Ashura Otsutsuki's infinite Tsukuyomi was by no means as simple as summoning Kaguya Point. Seeing this, Madara had directly activated Susanoo and tried to attack, but was blasted to pieces by the tailed beast Jade released by the heretic demon Point, the first unlimited monthly reading in the future timeline, the second unlimited Tsukuyomi in the fifth world limited Tsukuyomi world, and the third infinite Tsukuyomi in Shiraishi's world. The three infinite Tsukuyomi across time and space seemed to make the world overlap. The Rin Sharingan on the huge heretic demon seemed to announce the beginning of the world's destruction, and entered the final countdown state point. At this moment, the bodies of Kabuto Yakushi and Senjuroto began to merge with each other, absorbing the power of Otsutsuki Rai Samsurai, coupled with the immortal human body of the Senju clan, and the soul mode of Ryuji Cave. Otsutsuki Ashura spanned thousands of years and finally performed. The resurrection ceremony again. A terrifying chakra energy that could destroy the world filled the entire world. When he saw that the world was about to be destroyed, Shiraishi appeared under the outer demon statue in an instant, and a huge sealing formation suddenly appeared, with just the power of a seal. What can you do to stop it? Yeah. Following Shiraishi's words, Gaara suddenly slowly fell down and passed out on the other side of the battlefield. Gaara's coma, the infinite Tsukuyomi representing the other side of the world as being completely cracked. Yamato, the future world controlled by Shiraishi, controls the moon bat to integrate into the outside demon statue, forming a unique light in the dark night. Gaara is the key existence that connects the two worlds to the infinite Tsukuyomi. His return to the original world symbolizes that the first link is severed. Immediately after being controlled, Uzumaki Tomoko's Tsangagangan switched again on her forehead, and an unprecedented amount of energy spread out. All along the third eye on Tomoko Uzumaki's forehead was not the reincarnated eye, but another special blood inheritance. In the historical records of the Moon Otsutsuki clan, it was called the Pure Eye. My body. The third step is to modify the Ryuji Cave Yamato no Orochi Senjutsu. This is a bargaining chip for the cooperation between Base Snake Princess and Shiraishi. Even Otsutsuki Ashura is kept in the dark, so answer me now, who are you? Faced with Shiraishi's question, Ashura Otsutsuki squinted. Who am I? Haha, Aoki Shiraishi, do you think you really won? As soon as the words finished, reading www.ukanshu.net, a huge relief seal appeared under Ashura Otsutsuki, and suddenly the entire world of heretic demons and ninjas began to experience real collapse and destruction. Oops, the world seems to freeze at this moment. The story of Naruto comes to an end for now. Pirate World, year 1497. In the Heian calendar, a small boat was sailing on the sea, facing the violent storm, and had to drive carefully on the sea. Shiraishi picked up the pair of gloves he had left in the pirate world, and showed a hint of embarrassment. Although he successfully came to the pirate world to find a way to resolve the crisis in the original Naruto world. Once he arrived here, not only did the timeline deviate, Shiraishi also discovered a very serious problem. Chakra does not exist in this world. PS. Starting early tonight, we will officially enter the pirate chapter. Anyway, the decisive battle could have continued for 100,000 words, but the plot content is the entire above mentioned general process. I can write a chapter in an instant without going into details. Please enter the new copy as soon as possible. The plots in the other worlds will not be as long as Naruto's, and they mainly revolve around saving one's own original Naruto world. Genius website address. Mobile version reading URL. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 446, Pirate World. Due to the destruction of the mysterious Ashura Otsutsuki in the world of Naruto, the entire world, including the Pure Land, is currently showing signs of collapse. Fortunately, the Sage of Six Paths used a special secret technique to freeze the entire world of Naruto. Although Ashura Otsutsuki was calculated by himself, His origins were too mysterious, and his hidden final methods actually caused the collapse of the entire Pure Land of Paradise and the imbalance of the order of the Hokage world, and finally allowed him to escape point. Although Shiraishi and the Six Paths Sage are not easy to deal with, they have to unite to find a way to save the world that is about to collapse. According to my speculation, you need to go to other worlds to find a solution. Yeah. Beishi looked at the Sage of Six Paths suspiciously. The old guy's words seemed a bit unreliable. Seeing Shiraishi's gaze, Immortal Six Paths was also a little angry. It's not your appearance that has caused the whole world to become a mess, and the priority now is to save the world. Under this premise, how can I do things randomly? Have you done a lot of random things? Previously, I used the power of dragon veins to open the time and space barrier, but now the world is out of order. It seems that it is easier to travel through other worlds. This is not a good thing. It means that the world is about to be destroyed. Except for Shiraishi, Unohana-ritsu, Kakayo, Ace and Uchiha Madara were not affected. This is because Shiraishi's training system includes the PM world skill system, and the other three are not from this world. As for Uchiha Madara, he was reincarnated in the dirt, but he used a special soul secret technique to control Uzumaki Menma, who possessed the Dark Ninetales, and temporarily possessed him. Although Uchiha Madara hates Shiraishi, he has to say that what happened just now made him very unhappy. He was inexplicably plotted by that mysterious guy, causing his own world to be in a state of destruction. Uchiha Madara has always been concerned about the entire ninja world, otherwise why would he want to create a beautiful new world for everyone? Therefore, faced with the sudden unfolding of various strange gods, Uchiha Madara chose to attack Uzumaki Menma at the last moment. After controlling his personality consciousness, Uchiha Madara successfully leaned over Uzumaki Menma. After traveling to other worlds, the chakra power in your body will not be able to be used. After all, the rules are different. Just like your companions, Shiraishi is very clear about the meaning of the words of the Six Paths Sage. Since he wants to find a way to save his own world, he must risk going to other worlds. Since the Naruto world has been completely frozen, his own time has also been temporarily frozen, so he should not be affected by the passage of time in other worlds. Slowly opening his eyes, Shiraishi didn't expect that he would come to the first world, which was the world of pirates. Although Ace is a native of this world, he is still in a state of confusion. Year 1497 of the Heian calendar. The date on the newspaper made his expression change dramatically, because he was not even born, and the pirate king Roger, his father whom he had never met, would also be publicly executed by the world government in a year. The time was completely wrong. I thought I would return to the original historical timeline. Ace became very sad at this time, but Shiraishi was now concerned about the power in his body. After checking, Shiraishi unexpectedly discovered that the previously missing Shasheo fruit seemed to have reappeared in Ace's body. Can you feel the power of the burning fruit now? Kindness. Ace, who possesses the Shasheo fruit, is currently the only one on this small boat who is functioning normally. As for myself, chakra cannot be used, and even the skill cards cannot be used, because these skills are modified according to the local power system of the Naruto world, and are essentially the use of chakra. Therefore, the chakra magic is lost, and most of the skills cannot be used. Without chakra, Shiraishi relied on his own body. Fortunately, the divine sword of heaven also traveled through time. Although it lost most of its abilities and turned back into an ordinary silver sword, it was still very sharp. In addition to Shiraishi, the situation of the other 4 teammates is also different. Unohana-ritsu used the swastika once, and his spiritual power was severely depleted. Although Kakayo used the Shikentama to replenish it, he still couldn't use Unohana-ritsu's soul-cutting sword. Her strength was restored, so she relied on only her own sword skills in this world, just like the first time she came to Naruto's world. Of course, she is already terrifying just by using her sword skills. The effect of Kakayo's 4 souls jade seems to be greatly suppressed in this world. Although it can barely use the demon breaking arrow, it cannot be compared to the time in the Naruto world. There is no lineage of Onmyodo in this world, so the power of the Shrine Maiden is naturally weakened, but Kakayo is still very qualified as an archer. As for Uchiha Madara's situation, it's a bit miraculous. The moment he entered this world, the dark nine tails in his body vaguely changed, becoming the devil fruit phantom beast species dark nine tails. Uzumaki Menma doesn't seem to have much resistance to being controlled by Uchiha Madara. His knot in his heart has never been resolved, and sometimes he has thoughts of escaping from reality. It seems that it is the best thing for Uchiha Madara to control his body point, since it is a devil fruit. The power of the Dark Nine Tails as a fantasy beast species can still allow Uchiha Madara to exert extra power, but Uchiha Madara is still very aggrieved, because this strength makes him unable to bear his own weakness. Shiraishi was a little distressed as he sat cross-legged on the deck, wearing a white martial arts uniform. Even though he had a refreshing haircut, and he habitually wore system glasses with most functions, suspended point the only useful function is that the glasses system can identify devil fruits, because I have been to the world of One Piece in the past. Just now, the Dark Nine Tails state in Uchiha Madara's body was also concluded by the glasses system. Reading www.okanshu.net. Where are we now? East China Sea. After all, Ace was born in the East China Sea. Although times have changed, he can still roughly recognize some of the basic conditions of the sea here. Although the gloves were recovered, it seems to be of no use. The first time he came to this world, Shiraishi discovered the gloves he had left behind. However, the 18 regenerated nuclear gems inlaid with diamonds on the gloves disappeared, leaving Shiraishi with a pair of very ordinary gloves. Ace, I want to know what my strength is in this world. Oh. Do you want to fight with me? Facing Ace, who was gearing up, Shiraishi shook his head and pointed at a huge pirate ship approaching in the distance. I'll go find them to practice. As soon as he finished speaking, Shiraishi jumped up, using his feet to support each other in midair, as if he was walking in midair, and then moved at a high speed, and fell directly onto the pirate ship on the opposite side. This guy, although ninjutsu cannot be used, my body strength and reflexes are still there. Shiraishi, who was stepping on the opposite ship's deck, looked at the stunned pirate ship's crew with a bewildered smile. Genius website address. Mobile version reading URL. Chapter 447. Story on the pirate ship. On the ship of the Sifuk pirates, there were more than a dozen pirates with different clothes and strange looks, each holding a sword and a gun, and they surrounded Shiraishi vigilantly. I have to say that there seem to be very few people in the One Piece world who look normal, which is completely different from the Naruto world, where they like to mass produce handsome men and beauties. I suddenly felt that I was quite handsome. Thinking of this, Shiraishi picked up a mirror and took a look at himself and couldn't help but feel happy. The pressure of the crisis of the destruction of the Naruto world was suddenly relieved a lot. Captain, this guy seemed to have flown over just now. One of them stuttered and asked the person next to him. There was uncontrollable fear in his eyes, as if he didn't expect that anyone could step forward in the air. I saw it. The person who spoke had a beard and was at least 2 meters tall. He was dressed in black armor, which looked ridiculous on his fat body. The giant axe behind his back showed that he was Sifuke, the leader of the pirate group. With a bounty of 15 million, he is a force that cannot be underestimated among the pirate forces in the East China Sea. Sifuke had a serious look on his face, holding a giant axe that had killed many people in his hand. He looked nervously at Beishi, who was surrounded by his younger brothers. There was a vague feeling of fear in his heart. Walking in the air. Is this ability a devil fruit? How could pure personal power reach this level? Hey, are you surprised at the way I just appeared? There should be a similar Navy 6 type invented in this era, but in a place like the East China Sea, most young pirates have never seen it. Although Shiraishi is not sure about the strength of this pirate group in the overall One Piece world, Shifuko gives people the illusion of being a complete complement. But don't be careless. Some of the big pirates in the world of pirates do look like one-on-one pirates. This kind of setting where they don't play by the rules is just how the world likes to play. Swallowing a mouthful of saliva carefully, Sifu calmed down very uneasily and looked at the young man in front of him again, the giant axe in his hand getting ready to move. This axe must be quite heavy. Shiraishi was not in a hurry to take action, but looked at the pirate ship in front of him curiously. Compared with the small broken ships that a few of him found randomly, this pirate ship was very good. Point with the passage of time, the fear of Shiraishi's strange appearance has calmed down to some extent, and Sifuko gradually raised the giant axe in his hand. Are you looking down on our Sifuko pirates? We are the overlords of the world in the future. Faced with Sifuko's declaration, Shiraishi continued to think about things and did not give Captain Sifuko any face. The ship, the captain, was completely ignored. The confidant on the side was already covered in cold sweat. Looking at Shiraishi, who was still standing there stupidly, he actually completely ignored his captain. You kid, he. At this moment, the fat Sifuka smiled ferociously. His face was full of bulging veins, and his whole body was now ignited by raging anger. The giant axe in his hand slashed hard with force, like splitting Huashan Mountain, but Shiraishi turned sideways to avoid it, but his brows furrowed. From a pure point of view of swordsmanship, this Sifuke's swordsmanship was rough enough to the extreme, with no technical beauty at all point. But in terms of destructive power, the giant axe in Sifuke's hand, who is also over 2 meters tall and has a waist circumference of over 2 meters, has been slashing rapidly. The sound of the wind made people have no doubt about the power of this axe point. After the impact, a large crater was opened in the strong deck, but this method still made people feel a little disappointed. Shiraishi looked at the huge pit below. In terms of power, it wasn't particularly bad, but the style was too big, which made it a little hard for Shiraishi to accept. At this time, Sifuke raised his second axe to attack Beishi again. Twisting his head, Shiraishi instinctively wanted to use the teleportation technique, but his body froze in place and did not move. Correct. I can no longer use any ninjutsu, and even the skill cards have been blocked. Can I only use physical skills to fight hard? As for devil fruit, Shiraishi never planned to eat it. It was too restrictive and Shiraishi didn't like it. But the fighting style of ordinary pirates in this world is too devoid of skill and beauty, right? Although their defense was much stronger than that group of crispy ninjas, Shiraishi was still a little uncomfortable with it. This is just like playing football depending on which league you are in. Shiraishi was a little embarrassed when the teleportation technique failed. He immediately jumped up and stood on the giant axe while maintaining a delicate balance. He then maintained an awkward yet polite smile. Of course, in Sifuke's view, this is a mockery. That, the gunshot rang out. As Shiraishi leaned back slightly, the ammunition almost grazed the tip of his nose. Shiraishi glanced quickly and saw a pirate holding a musket in his hand, with smoke slowly coming out from the muzzle. The lethality of lead bullets is too weak, and it is even less lethal than ordinary kunai projections. Shiraishi's soliloquy made Sifuko's pupils shrink suddenly, and his face turned red with anger. He took off a lot of armor on his body and put down his axe like a furious beast. His huge fists whirred with anger. The strong wind is rushing towards Beishi, but Shiraishi blocked Sifuke's fist with one hand and slowly made a shushing gesture with the other hand. Be quiet, I'm thinking about something. By the way, if you have any other attack methods, let's use them together. Faced with the siege of the pirates, Shiraishi didn't even bother to unsheath the silver sword in his hand and directly punched them, causing the pirates to become bruised and swollen. Because he was not satisfied with the test results, looking at his companions lying in a mess on the deck not far away, Sifuke looked horrified. Who are you? Shiraishi scratched his head. I'm just a passing samurai. You reading www.youcan.net. Test your own strength. Now you're ready. By the way, please hand over your logbook. Just think of yourself as a samurai from Wano. Navigation logs are an important means of information to quickly understand this era. Although the 15 million Sifuke is not a powerful pirate, he can definitely provide Shiraishi with a lot of useful information about the East China Sea. By the way, hand over this ship to Sifuke felt aggrieved. He wanted to die with this man, but the situation was stronger than him, so he took his younger brother dejectedly, took several spare boats, and slowly left. Not bad. I realized how to be a pirate so quickly, and I got started so quickly. Ace walked up carelessly, looked at the ship of the Sifuke pirates, and showed a hearty smile. But there was something strange in my heart. This Kazekage didn't seem to be particularly unfamiliar with this world. But dad, are you okay? Although they were not in the same timeline, Ace suddenly wanted to visit Whitebird and the others, and felt sad in his heart. Shuangayu village seems not too far away from here. No matter what Ace thinks, Shiraishi now plans to go to a special place, that is Frost Moon Village. Genius website address. Mobile version reading URL. Chapter 448. Arrogant Madara. Shiraishi went to Shuo village mainly for Kashiro, the master of Ishin Dojo. Although the swordsman was not very powerful in the whole drama, Shiraishi still had a strong interest in him. Shuo village. Just leave it to me to drive. Ace took the initiative to take on the task of piloting the pirate ship. To be precise, Ace was the only one on the ship who could help. As Ace, who was yawning, controlled the slow movement of the ship in the cabin, the flag of the Sifuk pirates on the ship had been torn off by Shiraishi and replaced by a flag with a sand ninja pattern, which was hung on the bow of the ship. Entering the cabin, Shiraishi saw Ace flipping through the logbook. According to our speed, we will probably arrive at noon tomorrow. It is still difficult for this ship to move forward at full speed. After all, the number of crew members is simply not enough. Without full-time navigators and boatmen, it will cost a lot to quickly reach an island in the East China Sea. If Ace had not been born in the East China Sea and had obtained Sifuk's logbook, so he was not too unfamiliar with this sea route, otherwise he would not have taken control of the ship so quickly. Looking at Ace, who was busy everywhere, Shiraishi suddenly asked, "So, what are your plans? After all, this world and you, unlike others, Ace was born and raised in this world. Although the time was much earlier, he could see the white-bearded father he longed for, allowing him to make up for the regrets of the war. Regarding this matter, Ace shook his head. "I will not consider other things before helping you solve the problem of saving the world." Although he clearly knows that he is not from this era, Ace is more eager to meet Whitebeard's father in his heart, but he is more aware of Beishi's current situation, so he will not choose to go to Whitebeard at this time. Fire Fist Aspen is a person who repays kindness. Beishi has helped him a lot, and he will not leave the ship at this time. Currently, Ace is responsible for controlling the movement of the pirate ship. If Shiraishi thinks about it, he still needs to recruit an excellent navigator, otherwise he will not be able to leave the East China Sea and go to the Grand Route. In this era of East China Sea, it still takes some time to recruit qualified navigators and shipwrights. In contrast to the calmness of Shiraishi and Ace, Uchiha Madara, who had been silent on the boat, was staring coldly at the sea. Although he has lost his chakra, the dark nine tails in his body has become a special fruit power, allowing him to still display special dark flames to fight against the dark nine tails. But Madara Uchiha never wanted to fight like this. It was simply a humiliation for him to let him, a great ninja Shura, turn into a nine-tailed warrior and fight. Which village did he go to? For what purpose? Is it necessary to visit a swordsman in a small dojo in person? When it comes to swordsmanship, the strength of the woman in front of him is at least the level of a great swordsman. So Uchiha Madara is a little dissatisfied and feels that Shiraishi is wasting his time. Of course he has his own plans. Why bother? Unohana Ritsu calmed Uchiha Madara's emotions with a gentle smile on his face. Now Madara almost looks like a teenage version of Sasuke. He is handsome and has a draggy look on his face, which makes Unohana Ritsu always feel funny. Cat feeling. Listening to Unohana Ritsu's words, Uchiha Madara snorted and ignored. As for Kakayo, he was as quiet as ever, not expressing any opinions and silently watching everything around him. However, I'm now curious as to whether he is still qualified to be the leader of this ship and this team. At present, both sides have lost chakra, but Uchiha Madara possesses the power of the Dark Nine Tails fruit, and believes that his strength is far superior to anyone on the ship. So his question is questioning Shiraishi's current strength. Madara-sama, I think I'm still qualified. Shiraishi walked out of the ship's deck, only to see Madara Uchiha slowly getting up. At the same time, 9 burning will-o'-the-wisp tails appeared behind him, revealing fierce murderous intent in the coldness. Kakayo's expression changed slightly, but she was stopped by Uchiha lie beside her. If there is no real fight, Uchiha Madara may cause other troubles in the future. It is better to have an honest fight like this and confirm each other's strength level. The pupils of Uchiha Madara's eyes gradually changed, like a fox, and at the same time, the 9 tails behind him attacked fiercely. Feeling Uchiha Madara's violent offensive posture, the moment Shiraishi's silver sword was unsheathed, the sword's light flashed, and the armed domineering energy condensed on the silver sword, forming a special entwining posture. Haki is divided into 3 categories. Among them, armed color haki is the same as knowledge color haki. It is a type of haki that can be developed and improved through acquired practice. It is different from the innate domineering look. People with armed haki can enhance their personal defense and attack power, acting like invisible armor. They can also evolve into attack power to compete with those with devil fruit abilities, and can even touch the physical bodies of those with natural fruit abilities. In the later stage, if you practice the armed color haki to the extreme, you can directly display the colorless haki. Among them, entangling and hardening are the 2 core methods of the armed color haki. Shiraishi currently uses the most basic winding, condensing the power of armed domineering onto the silver long sword point. Since Uchiha Madara has the power of the dark 9 tails fruit, armed haki can naturally be used directly as a means of attack. During the dance of the silver sword, Shiraishi was extremely fast and instantly intertwined with Uchiha Madara. After the loud bang, reading www.ukanshu.net. After Uchiha Madara and Shiraishi's figures intertwined, Uchiha Madara finally released his fighting posture with a groan. With such strength, you are still qualified. The palms of his hands were already red and numb, but Madara would never give in easily. He turned away very proudly, leaving only Shiraishi with his arms also numb. Uchiha Madara is indeed a monster. Although he came into contact with the power of devil fruit for the first time, he has already developed the use of will-o-wisps, and just now he has a special confusion illusion in it. Although there is no chakra interference, this visual illusion is also very troublesome. After a brief exchange between the two, Uchiha Madara set his sights on the distance. Just go hunt some pirates and let them take on the work of shipwrights and navigators. Uchiha Madara sneered at Shiraishi's act of letting all the Shifuko crew members go just now. Except for Ace, everyone here was unfamiliar with the place. Currently, in this sea area, there is a need for navigators who are familiar with sea routes. Then the best choice was to capture the Shifuko crew, but unfortunately they were let go by Shiraishi. Shiraishi was a little embarrassed about this matter. Previously, he was only focused on testing his own strength, and didn't even notice that he had taken away the ship, but lacked suitable boatmen. Haha, it was my negligence. Then please ask Mr. Madara to help us find some qualified boatmen to come back. Genius. Website address. Mobile version reading URL. Chapter 449. How much is your bounty? Uchiha Madara was very efficient in his work. Within a few hours, he captured another pirate ship from a distance. The captain of this pirate ship had already been knocked unconscious by Madara, and then Uchiha Madara grabbed these pirates and sent them aboard one by one to assist Ace in his work. According to the logs, it only takes 1 day to get to Shirogakiji village. Even if the progress is accelerated, the crew also needs to rest. There is no reason for them to sail day and night. An old pirate who was captured said with a grimace on his face that Uchiha Madara asked them to sail an extra boat to Shirogakiji village, which was indeed a bit difficult for them. Fully forward seems simple, but in fact, to control such a sailboat, sufficient manpower is needed. Leaving a small number of manpower to keep watch at night can prevent the ship from being taken away from the channel by waves. Ace agreed with these truths. He didn't think about it that much at first. Now it seems that even with the help of these old pirates, it will still take a day to reach Shirogakiji village quickly. However, the eyes of these old pirates were always wary and suspicious. On the way to Shirogakiji village, they had to pass by several small naval stations. This group of pirates were also afraid that Shiraishi would send them to the navy in exchange for the reward. In exchange for a reward? How much are you worth? Shiraishi seemed to see the reason for their alertness at a glance, so he asked a very embarrassing question. I have 150,000 belly. I have 300,000 belly. Ahem. 100,000 baileys. The numbers reported by this group of pirates made Shiraishi yawn more and more serious. Is there any point in exchanging this reward? If I had known earlier, I would have sent Sifuke to put a reward on his head. That guy had 15 million. Prices in this era are completely different from those 10 years later. In the future, this number will be almost 20 million or more pirates. But money is indeed very important. Shiraishi thought about it again and again, and then set his sights on a few old pirates. So how many pirates in the East China Sea currently have relatively high bounties? Seeing the pirates hesitating and thinking of something frightening, Shiraishi ignored them and directly flipped through Sifuko's logbook. On the way to Shuangai village, it seems to be passing Red Deer Island. How can it be a pirate rope? Last territory. Hey, this pirate's bounty is 22 million. Solar is currently a very large force in the East China Sea. With a bounty of 22 million, it is almost the overlord in the entire East China Sea. Therefore, Shiraishi's concern is not the issue of his bounty, but the issue of the forces behind the bounty. When Solar was mentioned, several old pirates took a few steps back in fear. That is Red Deer Devil Solar, one of the few ability users in the East China Sea. How can you take the initiative to provoke him? /U00 to 61T/P /U003E on the entire Red Deer Island. In addition to the villagers living here, the 6 large ships of the Solar Pirates are docked at the seaside, and they continue to go out to other areas of the East China Sea every day to rob. Of course, sometimes there are also transactions with other pirate forces. For example, Sifuke went to Red Deer Island and carried out supplies at the port terminal. Of course, a certain fee must be paid in accordance with Solar's rules. You just need to obey the orders of our Captain Shiraishi. While Ace was glaring and scolding, there was an aura on his body, which made several pirates vaguely frightened. In desperation, they had no choice but to bite the bullet and drive to Red Deer Island. They had a hunch that this group of strange people would do nothing good when they went to Red Deer Island. Red Deer Island, as a small island in the East China Sea, is famous for its special red sambar deer. It attracts many visitors every year. However, after Solar occupied this island, no one dared to come to this island again. As an ability user and a great pirate, Solar is very strict in the management of his subordinates. A ship has to go out every day to patrol and rob merchant ships. For a long time, Solar has accumulated a lot of wealth on Red Deer Island. I've heard of this Red Deer Devil Solar. When everyone went down to work, Ace thought for a moment, this guy was not arrogant for long in history. Before the Pirate King was publicly executed, my grandfather once conducted a raid on the East China Sea pirates, and the main target was Red de la Sioux. Obviously, Rathor was originally caught by Garp and thrown into jail. Under the urging of Shiraishi and others, the ship soon arrived at the dock of Red Deer Island. Due to the existence of Solar on Red Deer Island, pirates who come to the island in time to rest usually stop in very low-key and remote places. Even according to Solar's rules, pirates who come here must lower half of their pirate flags. The pirates who come to the island to trade are very well behaved, and few stupid people make trouble here. The residents of the island just turn a blind eye to the pirates, and it's not like they don't pay them anyway. However, the residents who were making a living on the dock today were very surprised. A ship that was obviously a pirate ship rushed into the port like this. The ship patrolling the Solar Pirates saw this strange big ship. Isn't this pirate group too arrogant? Come directly to the dock with a flag? I guess it's some young pirate who just debuted. As the discussions continued, the ships of the Solar Pirates reacted completely, and countless cannons were aimed at Shiraishi's ship. Amid the serious warning, Shiraishi seemed not to pay attention to the shouts of the pirates, but instead focused his gaze on the distance. This pirate group should have a lot of valuable wealth. Thinking of Shiraishi flicking the silver knife in his hand, the sword flashed, and a large number of shells were cut into half. Then he landed directly on the ground and quickly scanned the entire island. Go to hell. Turning sideways, Shiraishi turned the long knife in his hand, slashed the attacker, then turned around and kicked the other pirate away. Shiraishi, wearing a martial arts uniform, was in the process of neatly solving the pirate attack. Ace's hands burned with blazing flames, and a domineering flame burned on the sea, destroying the 2 surrounding ships. Seeing Fire Fist Ace's Fire Fist, Archer Hamada sneered, and countless will-o-wisps, under the control of Ninetails, quickly attacked the pirates who were constantly gathering on the dock. The illusion created by the will-o'-the-wisps quickly caused several pirates to kill each other, causing even more chaos. The devil fruit of the natural type and the phantom beast species are almost overwhelmingly powerful in a place like the East China Sea. This group of pirates is not very knowledgeable and did not recognize that this is a devil fruit. Kikayo stood at the bow of the boat and fired several times with the long bow in his hand, destroying many cannonballs. However, Unohana did not make any move and watched the actions of other people on the boat. Who are these people? The young pirates who were captured on the White Rock ship looked at Ace and the others with surprise on their faces, as if they had no idea that this group of strange guys had such terrifying strength and could confront the solar pirates head on. Genius website address. Mobile version reading URL. Chapter 450. Mysterious Gem. In the manor on Red Deer Island, a very well-dressed male pirate was elegantly listening to music, drinking wine, and enjoying his own leisure time. Compared with the Great Sea route, which is full of risks, the weak sea area of the East China Sea is the most ideal place for Solar to occupy. His wealth is constantly accumulating, which allows him to live the life he wants. As the absolute master of this island, Solar is also very generous to his subordinates. Captain, this is our biggest gain this time. When a pirate team came back, they presented a beautifully wrapped gift box to Solar. The moment he opened the box, Solar's eyes changed. Light blue light shone throughout the manor, and an extremely gorgeous gem was quietly placed in front of the Solar pirates. Even the few accompanying musicians and maids looked at the dazzling gem in Solar's hand with greedy eyes. This is so beautiful. The gems were shaped into rings. Although he had obtained a lot of ring treasures from plundering at sea over the years, the gem in front of him made him sure that it was a valuable treasure just by looking at it. Captain, someone is making trouble at the dock. We can't stop them. When he heard that someone was causing trouble in his own territory, the sinister look in Solar's eyes made the people around him extremely panicked, and even the mood that he had just obtained the beautiful gem no longer existed. Unlike ordinary pirates who only know how to cause trouble everywhere, Solar is a black and white figure in the East China Sea. Even Colonel Huang Quan of the Navy Department in charge of this sea area has accepted a lot of bribes from Solar because of this. Red Deer Island and dozens of villages in the surrounding sea areas are all controlled by Solar. If the evil Star Garp hadn't appeared a year later, Solar would have continued to wreak havoc on this sea area. Let the third team and the fourth team go to support. I will arrive later. Although the Solar pirates are well trained and can fight more fiercely than ordinary pirates, they are obviously not enough to face monsters like Shiraishi. I saw an after image of Shiraishi flashing past, showing off his gorgeous skills as he danced with a silver knife in his hand, leaving traces of knife marks on the pirates. Although their lives were not taken, this group of pirates could not continue fighting in a short time. Where is Solar's base camp? The pirate looked hopeless and subconsciously pointed into the distance at Red Deer Manor. Just when Shiraishi put down the pirate and prepared to move on, a sharp edge flashed out of nowhere. It was a very sharp thin sword, and the attacker was a strange looking sambar monster. The captain is here. The silver sword suddenly blocked the opponent's rapier, but when the water deer turned around, a fierce palm wind roared towards him. Solar is a user with animal fruit abilities. According to Shiraishi's memory, animal type devil fruits have 3 stages of transformation: humanoid, beastly, and human animal. The human form is the ordinary form. The human animal form means that the body retains the humanoid appearance and turns into a beast, or it can also transform part of the body into a beast. After transforming into a human animal form, the physical ability of the ES-peer will be improved. Generally, animal-specific body parts such as horns, teeth, claws, body hair, and tails will be strengthened. As for the final beast form, that is, the ability user completely transforms into an animal, possessing all the characteristics of an animal. In the animal system, the ferocity of carnivorous species will also increase compared to herbivorous species. It also has an impact on its own character. The current sambar monster is dressed in very expensive clothes, and it is obviously different from the kind of rough carnivore. But what really caught Shiraishi's attention was the ring on Solar's hand that he hadn't had time to take off yet. At this moment, Shiraishi's expression changed to, "Isn't this one of the 18 missing gems in my glove?" When the 18 gems passed through the time and space barrier, The regenerated nuclear chakra energy inside them mutated, which seemed to produce a stronger energy position. Although Shiraishi didn't know what happened, he didn't expect that it would take no effort at all. Who are you? You reading www.uakanshu.net, and why did you come to this island? Solar tried his best to maintain restraint, and the opponent could take over his sneak attack, which showed that he was definitely not an ordinary character. There was no need for such a strong person to become an enemy, so it was best to solve the problem as soon as possible. Our ship is so short of money recently, so I hope to ask you for some charity. When Shiraishi spoke, his eyes were fixed on the ring on Solar's hand, which made the latter's face darken. If supplies are needed, then we will help you, but other requests seem a bit. Don't wait for Sora Genius website address. Mobile version reading URL. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.